Well, I guess it's 8:30. We're convening because we have the flight training awards this morning. We're convening early, so I guess we'll stand and join us for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Do I have a motion to approve last meeting's minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by McCurry and seconded by Peterson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So I guess at this point, we'll head downstairs and do the flight training scholarship award. So, shut the switch off.
Wait a second.
Hey, we're gonna swear him in.
Ready? Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you, Michael Abendroth, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Coffee County Commissioner, District Number 1, so help you God?
I will.
Sign.
Okay, very good.
There you go.
How are you?
Good.
We have a change to the agenda.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, we'll go to first here. We'll Pat Reese, Airport Board entry. I'm like, you did. I just can't read.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Reese. I've been on the board for 9 years up there. Worked with Darren and known him for a long time, and I'm applying for one more term.
Okay.
Just kind of wanted to introduce myself and see what I can tell you or what you can ask me.
So you've
Been
been
in
on,
aviation for 55 years.
so you've been on the board for 9 years?
For 9 years, yeah. And a very, very good board. I mean, I've enjoyed it.
A lot of reports we get, and you know, everything runs pretty smooth out there.
Everything runs
Sounds
so
like.
smooth out there, thank goodness for Darren.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So is there something that I think maybe was asked of one of the other people who was interested, Brett Skillman, I think, was in the other day. So, see anything coming down the road? Any concerns or anything? You got any thoughts about the airport there? I mean,
We have an airport development plan that's constantly updated with the FAA all the time, and we have to-do lists and wish lists and things we hope to get accomplished, and so far we've always met the goals, you know, and that's what we hoped we could do with you guys' help too.
yeah.
So the next thing we have is another ramp, an old part of the ramp that's getting pretty bad that we'll be replacing, but I think that's 2 years down the road or something like that.
Okay.
But and like I said, we have a wish list, which is
Sure.
maybe it won't be someday, but you know, you kind of have to plan
Yeah.
something. So
Great.
but it's going well, I think. I've only missed one meeting.
That's pretty impressive.
And And this one, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm 77 now, and the next time this comes up, I'll be 80, and it's like, I know I'm hoping I'll be very capable and still willing mentally and physically, but it's like, I'm not sure about 80, I'm not sure how that sounds.
Yeah,
Do you fly?
I just quit flying about a year ago. I had a little airplane I sold to our mechanic at the airport,
I
and
see.
he kept bugging me and wanting it so bad, and I thought, I'm really flying around every 2 weeks for about 20 minutes and sightseeing. It's like, do I really need it anymore? I've had my fun.
But you were talking about your age. Age is just a number, right?
Just a bit, yeah, it's a big number, the 8 in the front bothers me.
well, I kind of thought that when I got to 5 and then 6,
Yeah.
and so far I've survived it.
I remember thinking 69, and I thought, oh, the next one's a 7.
Yeah, I know.
Next one's an 8.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you served 9 years?
9 years, yep.
I sure want to thank you for all your past service. We appreciate the volunteer people,
It was kind of a sudden thing when it happened, and I thought about it, I've been talking to Darren out there, and he entered my mind, and all of a sudden he says, well, you need a board member, you up for it? And I said, sure.
Good. Well, we appreciate it.
Glad to be there.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your consideration.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Anybody else have any more questions for you?
What'd you do for 50 years in aviation? A little bit of everything?
Everything except airlines.
I
You were in the private sector?
That's private, yeah. Corporate pilot, test pilot, even prop vested for a year. In the last 6 years, I was taking new airplanes all over the world, delivering new airplanes for Cessna.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Got to see a lot of places I never thought I'd see.
So you kind of got to do maybe not the first flight, but you kind of got to do the break-in flight, huh?
I did a lot of the first flight stuff 2 years ago at Cessna.
Wow. Wow.
We take them off the assembly line and hope, I think they did a good job. They did a good job.
That'd be my thought. Well, great. That's pretty impressive.
Is Michael Wayne still flying out of
Occasionally, yeah, he still has an airplane out there right now,
Yeah.
stored in the hangar.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping with some rain, maybe he will get some work too.
Yeah.
We enjoy his fuel buying.
Yeah, I bet so.
He's a good man.
Because everybody's cranking through
And
some...
he looks a lot younger than he is. He's
A flavor.
pretty good shape. for
Oh,
him.
he is. He is.
Well, they burn some fuel when they take
Yeah,
a fly all day
burn
long,
some
don't
gas,
they?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Okay.
We appreciate your services coming in.
Thank you very much. You're quite welcome home. I'll go a little while longer if I can.
Great.
Very good.
Well, thanks for coming in.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, we'll do a few miscellaneous motions, I guess. Move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the updated CP-4U dated April 21st, 2025.
I'll move.
Been moved by McCurry and seconded by Barker. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Move to approve resolution number 772-Q, a resolution establishing the pay scale and classification for the employees of Coffee County.
So moved.
I'll second that. Been moved by Barker and seconded by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Move to approve the tax levy clerk job description for the county clerk's office and authorize and direct the chairman to sign the same. Also move.
I'll second.
Been moved by Thompson and seconded by McCurry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Move to approve the budgetary/accounting job description for the county clerk's office and authorize and direct the chairman to sign the same.
I'll move.
Second.
Been moved by McCurry and seconded by Barker. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, so I guess we will move on to Health Department Administrator Amelia Marchant, Health Department remodel completion. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
How you doing?
All right, I just have a couple of updates. We have some events coming up. I would like to extend the offer for you guys to join us at the Crawford County Employee Health Fair. That's Wednesday, April 30th from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then next week we have our Safe Sleep Community Baby Shower that we host every year. And that is on Thursday, April 24th. Registration begins at 5 p.m. And now for the renovation completion. So I sent over quite a few documents, about 300 pages for the O&M. And then I also included the certificate of completion to be signed, and then also a layout of where the funds came from. Do you guys have any questions on any of that?
I think so, if you know.
And then if you guys would like to tour the health department, we can do that as well.
Pardon me?
If you guys would like to tour the health department, we can do that as well this morning. But that's all of you.
Okay, what's everybody think? That'd be nice to see what you got there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, the part I saw here a while back.
Oh, it is. They really did a nice job with it.
Yep, so we wanna go do that now, guys?
Go for it.
So do we recess, or do we just
break to go down there.
break? Okay. Okay. All right, we will head that way.
And then you have a copy for this friend already.
Yes, I do. Okay, well, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan?
So did we need to do anything else on that? Did we?
No, you just need to sign.
Okay. So we didn't need a motion for that or anything?
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay.
But let me get it for you.
Okay.
Onion mushrooms?
Found a few this weekend. Yeah. A lot better than the last couple of years.
What is it?
Been able to give a lot away this year, so that's always a good sign.
You know where my house is.
I'd say that's what we had this weekend out of.
That will give
I would think so.
the sun today.
Yeah.
Okay. I would move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the certificate of project completion / affidavit of contractor with BG Consultants for the completion of the health department remodel.
One second.
Then moved by Thompson and seconded by McCurry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. After our tour, I'd say it's very nice, and I believe it's going to help serve our public very well, looks like to me.
It's,
So, Ryan Durst, you want to visit with us for a moment?
Sure.
All right,
How's everybody doing?
good. How are you today?
Not too bad.
I'm moving up.
We had one call out this weekend on the tree that burned off and fell down, so that time of year, summer's burning, we've got a few hedgerows got burned off and been kind of creating us some problems and have some trees to get cleaned up, but, first thing I have, we talked last week about, the 58 detour and just the resolution, for some signage and some stop signs and stuff that we're adding to some of our roads. And so, I've got that this week. Get that done.
Did I have that down the way? I think I did. Oh, is this the?
I've got there, sorry, I thought I sent that out.
You did.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's
It's
all right.
just down further. Were you squeezing in earlier or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't till 10:45, but
Okay, I'll move it
Yeah.
up.
That's fine.
I'm moving it up. Wait.
Because we've got,
looked like you had a little time to kill, so I thought I'd
well, we did
sneak
too,
in.
so it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Moving ahead. So, motion based upon the recommendation of the Road and Bridge Superintendent to approve resolution number 2025-946A, resolution establishing stop signs and authorizing traffic control signs within the traffic control plan for project 58-16 KA-5701-01.
I'll make the motion. Second it.
Okay, been moved by Peterson and seconded by Barker. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, I appreciate that. A little more discussion on the detour down there. So I'm working with the state, to get some additional signage on 58. Right now, they don't have anything until they get to where the bridge is at and the road's closed. The soonest that's gonna get in place is probably end of the day tomorrow, but, they're gonna put some barricades on 58 and Wayside, try to get that traffic pushed north like we're wanting them to do. You know, we knew when this started off, there'd be some problems and issues. So you guys are probably hearing some of that. You know, I'm working with the state on that, and then we'll put some additional signage up once they get that on the intersections at 58 and Underwood, 58 and Shreveport, once
Yeah, I
the
noticed
state.
the other day I was down through there and there wasn't anything, any detour showing
Right,
where to go. I mean,
right. Yeah, and the state won't let us put any of our signs out on
Right.
58, which makes sense, but,
Sure, sure.
we're working through some of that, so,
Did want to mention, I went up there, heading up through there on the way to the bank the other day, and your detour there on 8th is really smooth. Guys, nice job getting
it's,
that
I mean,
bladed
it's
up.
set up and ready for the,
No, it
Yes,
is,
sir.
it
So
looks nice.
pass that on. I mean,
All right,
we've
will do.
we've got a bunch of quality people that
Yep.
work in all of our departments here at the county, and it's a good job.
yeah, thank you, I'll pass that on.
Ryan, I have a question here.
Yeah.
It's really funny, I had two patrons, both of them had macular degeneration, asking when we're gonna start the road marking on our roads that we've redone. I know we talked about it as far as putting down lines and stuff so they can see at night.
Well, I mean, all that was done last October.
I thought we had some new roads.
Well, that would be for the upcoming 2025.
Okay.
And so those would be all the roads that we're gonna chip this summer and anything that we asphalt this summer. And then, there'll be some additional painting that goes on.
With them, they were concerned, they're having a real hard time moving up and down. Maybe, I don't know, they shouldn't be driving at night, but maybe we need to evaluate some of those roads if they need to be repainted. We don't need an overly couple or something
Yeah.
to have a problem, just looking at a reflection on the roads to help them out.
I mean, I can see, you know, I know kinda how that process is. They order paint throughout the summer for all the locations that we've identified. And I'm guessing all the roads that they're talking about is usually ones that where paint's a couple years old. And we're not gonna surface for a couple more years.
Just something that you guys and your crew maybe wanna look into,
Yeah.
if something's really sun faded or
Yeah.
It sounds like they're having difficulty seeing.
Well, there's some of our striping that's,
Yeah.
you know, and that kind of opens up some discussion. Some counties, you know, they stripe every year or every other year,
Right.
just to brighten them up. Now, you know, it's an added cost.
Right.
You know, I don't wanna say it's minimal, but, you know, when you're talking about safety, so what's the price on, you know, it's a
Right,
safety issue. You know, so that's why we've started, you know, it used to be we'd wait 5 years, we'd wait until we chip, and then we'd have new paint. Well, we got to where, after 3 years, we'd go ahead and add some new paint, just to try to help with some of that. And, you know, I think it could be looked at to,
Well, it might be something we want to discuss, because, you know, we want to keep our elderly people active. And if it's just a little reflective paint on there to help them do that, to keep them moving around. I can't get it tonight because
Yeah.
I can't see.
and I don't think it's just elderly, I mean, even, you know, myself driving at night with my astigmatism, and especially if it's raining, I mean, it's,
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
But I'm not sure that you can fix everything
That's my biggest complaint about any of the roads I drive on myself, especially at night. I won't hardly drive in the rain anymore unless it's something that's been recently striped, you know.
well, I mean, we can evaluate a little tighter and add some more of that to our program each year.
And then with the new engineer that we've got on hourly, is he on board yet, or?
Yeah, we've been dealing with stuff over, just over emails right now. I think, in May, he's gonna start coming in the office. We've got his computer and his
Okay.
stuff set up there, but we've been dealing a lot, just over emails right now with him.
With the striping, if there's some way maybe we could do a rotation, not to have to do them all at once, but, you know, our older ones start and go through that, where we can keep them up, just keeping people active where they can travel.
I would
As elderly people see it.
I would support that.
Yep.
Because that is something that I've had concerns about, brought to me,
Yeah.
saying that, you know, I said, well, you know, that road I think is ready to be, you know, and obviously we're probably not gonna do it if we're getting ready to do the road, but,
Right.
you know, maybe in some places it might be needed, you know,
Yeah.
regardless.
No, good stuff. I mean, we could definitely look into it.
Yeah.
Tighten it up a little more. Last week, Tom brought up about the, road use permit. You know, I said we were in the works of that, so, just thought I'd go through that, just, some of you are new, and here's the road permit, we've issued on that, and thank you. So, basically, road permit is something that we require if there's any time that there's utilities, work being done within the county. They go through this process of this road permit, and then there's also, road use agreement, which kind of goes along with this. So usually if there's anything, special conditions or anything that goes along with this, or special projects for haul routes, they fill this out, and then if you go on the back, kind of just our standards and what we've expected in the past on any time there's been haul routes is we've been consistent, the same, you know, with anybody that's using our roads and extra traffic. When, you know, dust control's the big one, the houses and intersections, we require that, we make a push for that, and then even, you know, some extra maintenance rock can be a part of that discussion. So this is kind of what we put in place, for the project up there at 24th and Iris. So the approved routes coming in off of 50, down Iris, the 24th road, and to their property. So there's 3 houses along that route, and they'll be putting down some dust control there, some dust control, some intersections. You know, some possible maintenance rock is needed. You know, there's nothing set in stone. If we have stuff that arises or issues, we'll work on those, you know, down the road with them, but this is just kind of standard what we set in place with companies, just so you guys have an idea.
Is there anything that, for their routes, for enforcement, if they decide to start driving a different direction?
I would say when that's brought to our attention, if that's brought to our attention, we would have to have a conversation with them and find out if it's them, and then start, I mean, yes, we would question it. I mean, this is the approved route, and if they need to use more than that, then we would look at, you know, originally this route was gonna be using all virus from 22nd to
Right.
50. They decided to back that off, just the cost of the dust control. So they just decided they were just gonna come in off of 50 highway, down to 24th. So, but I'd say if they're using other roads, that would be something that, when it's brought to our attention, we would have a conversation with them.
That's, when they first started, that was brought to my attention, and we're running that Iris Road, so.
Are they doing that, are they pumping now?
I don't know.
They've got their tanks set and everything?
They got their tanks set, but they don't have their injection equipment, which is causing some concerns by the patrons that live around there.
Why is that? I mean, if they're pumping into the,
They're pumping on, as I understand, now I haven't seen them do it, just releasing it.
okay,
They don't have their injection tractor yet, last I'd heard, so. But I'm not sure, I haven't been out there since when the first time I'd heard, and I know then they didn't have a tractor there at that time.
Okay.
They
So I
did
just,
have
as
the
I
truck tank.
was working through this, permit with them, it sounded like the end of last week, they were gonna start hauling to their tanks, was my understanding. You know, I knew this, we signed off on this permit this morning and sent them back their copy, so. That's all I had for today. So, any more questions or anything?
that's for sure.
Can you mention to them what we talked about that parking?
Oh, well, so some of this parking is asphalt, you know, we patched this in the past, kind of band-aided it on the east side of the street over here, where some of the employees park, and some of that stuff's popping loose, and, you know, we talked to Angie about maybe patching it up again, but it's just a band-aid. You know, really that stuff needs to come out of there, and it needs to be redone, and you know, I know if you guys are gonna have work done around the jail on this street, I would tie that into it. I mean, all the other parking's been redone and new. And we can Band-Aid that and put a little cold mix on the end of that, but it's next winter when we do our snow removal, it's gonna pop it right back out. Continue to deteriorate worse than what it is.
So that's our responsibility, not the city.
I don't know on
It's
that.
county.
I mean,
So you wanted to do asphalt back in it, or concrete, or
I don't,
got a preference?
You
no.
don't care, right?
No, I mean, everything else is asphalt. I think you would just match the existing, like what's in front of the courthouse, and
You're
maybe
talking
just,
about from the curb east, the parking spot.
yeah,
On the east.
on the east side of the
On the
street.
east side of the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the way along this block then.
Well, I think that half of the block up there is new, so it's just a,
It'd just be
That's what I
Yeah.
just wanted to
yeah.
get in my mind, because I
Yeah,
didn't recall.
it's just that half a block there
This
that,
is north part.
I had an employee that came in and said that they almost rolled their ankle on a chunk of that asphalt out there, and before we have a work comp issue.
I mean, there is a couple 3-inch lip there where that's breaking off, and, you know, we could come in and peel it off there, but I'm afraid what's underneath that. I know we threw asphalt on it years ago, just to cover up some concrete, if I remember right, that was, having some problems with, and it's been a maintenance issue for us. I mean, patching it for several times over the years, so.
So do you think, is there concrete under there that needs to
I-
be moved to do it correctly?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be something I think you'd wanna mill down and put some asphalt back, similar to what you're doing in the street out here, but,
Should probably redone, it's not that big an area.
no. And if you're gonna have somebody here doing the work already, it won't.
Sound okay, guys?
Yeah, I think it needs to be
Addressed.
What do we
addressed.
need to do?
Well, so if I remember right, Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The west drive-in up halfway onto where the school parks is county property, but there's a line going down the middle that's half of it city, or half of it's school, half of it's county. So I think, and that's going to the south and going back to the east.
I believe the county has cleared the sidewalk.
Okay, there's pins out there somewhere.
Okay.
River City took me out there when the jail project first started, so I do know I remember it going down the middle or something to that effect. So I think it'll involve talking to the school as well, if that's gonna be replaced. And I'm not sure.
For that out here.
The south going
Oh,
from west to
okay.
east.
Okay, not this
Yeah,
one
not
here,
here,
though.
right.
On the west side,
Is all ours.
it's all of the counties and actually going at least 3/4 up into that where the school officials park.
Okay.
So I think you just need to know that because it's gonna require a conversation with the school on the south, west to east or east to west.
Okay.
Right.
I can't remember, is that out for bid now, or is that already been, that's not yet?
Nope.
No, I just brought up the point to get the discussion started with you guys, just,
So if we do, when we bid that, or when we put that out for bids, we could take,
Incorporated in with that bid?
yeah,
I thought we did something about with the equipment being moved off here, and we were gonna have somebody who was either on site already.
well, Skillman, I think Skillman,
So it's not a part of the jail project right now, but I believe the conversation was while they're digging out and while they're doing that work, and if Killo has, either Skillman or Killo, they're gonna be on site, and while they're on site, to go ahead and get it bid out, and potentially Killo would bid the lowest, because they're already gonna be here.
It was substantially lower than we
Yeah.
talked about.
But it's not.
I don't think you're gonna get it out for bid in time. I mean, Keto's gonna be here around June 1st, I think, and
Late in the year?
I don't know that you would get that process and that stuff done prior to them being here. And it's gonna be enough dollars, I think I mean, it's over that 20,000, so I think, I don't know if you can waive that and go with Kilo, I mean, but,
I think it's gotta be bid out.
I
Yeah.
mean, yes, that's what I would say.
You and I can, I guess, get together and see what type of material, how thick, all the specs for it, because
And then Kilo will work with you, excuse me, to expedite it while they're here, or whatever. I don't think it'd be that much longer to do it unless.
Well, not,
they're
Kilo's, they'll be working around this county all summer long. I mean, same with, with the 75 project going on, turn lanes, and I think even Bettis has asphalt projects on 75, so even if it's bid out and it's a later date, the only thing you'll have is once the work completed around the jail, there would be the seam and transition point from the new into the old, that's gonna be unfinished, that, we'll probably leave cones or whatever you need to do on that area until the other work gets done and ties it all in. That's one thing I would see that would probably have to stay when the jail's completed.
and I think more, maybe just as important, if at all possible, to have that work done over the summer while school's not in session, because
yes.
that will create a lot of headaches for parents going in and out.
Little children, safety
Yeah.
problems.
So maybe Ryan and I, if you don't mind, we can get
No,
together,
that's
put
fine.
together proposed bid specs, and then get that out for bid with the permission of the board. I don't know how long it is, I don't know, and we'll need to talk to the school too. Maybe mention it, if school officials are here later, if Mr. Marshall's here, then we can bring it up. So 244, no, 243, never mind.
I think they'll be here in a week or so, though,
Okay.
or some people from that district will be.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Keep plugging away.
Alright.
Good job.
That time of year, so. Looks like it's gonna be a wet week after tomorrow.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, next
Rain.
8 days, a pretty good chance about every day,
It
so.
is.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep. It's all right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right.
Well, guess we can send a few things around here.
How you tell him? Brought a whole crew.
You guys skipping school?
I never take kids out of school. We have a late start, so they're not skipping yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a late start today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is part of school though, right?
There you
Right.
go.
This is part of school.
This is part of
Doing
school.
real life learning.
This is an education itself.
That's right.
Work on some of their government classes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's for public hearing, isn't it?
Who's this?
Break on that, or?
Is it, what time is it?
Yeah, he's here.
9:30.
Oh,
Senior starting.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, we're good, we're good.
Here, here's just a little bit.
Yeah, so.
And like on Kiplinger, do we have to, is that do we buy that?
We were, but we stopped it, but they're still sending it.
Okay, okay, So-
So, once it's done,
it's done, okay.
Governmental Assistance Services, Garrett Nordstrom, public hearing, CDBG, USD 243, Early Development Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for having me, everybody. I'm Garrett Nordstrom with Governmental Assistance Services. We're here to meet our public participation requirement through the Department of Commerce Community Development Block Grant Program. As we discussed last time I was here, that the USD 243 would like the County Commission to sponsor an application to the Community Development Block Grant Program to rehabilitate the building in Lebo for an early childhood development center.
they have their hearing to start at 9:30. Do you want me to go ahead and start it?
Yes, of course. I was just going to say we typically open the public hearing for public comment.
Okay. Motion to enter into a public hearing at 9:30 a.m. for the purposes of a CDBG USD 243 Early Development Center grant.
So moved. Second.
Okay, been moved by Avendroth, is that right? And seconded by McCurry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We typically take public comment if there is any, and that is recorded, or I can answer any questions from the commissioners.
So do I need to ask that question then? Or are there any comments or objections from the public? Okay, so it doesn't appear to be, so do I go ahead and move to close the hearing then?
We typically would do so.
Okay. We have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Has been moved by Avendroth, seconded by Peterson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So the meeting's closed, public hearing's closed at 9:31.
Thank you very much. I will have some documents in front of the commissioners in 2 weeks. There's a 15-day waiting period before we can submit the grant application. We'll do the resolution authority, apply, and a local agreement and such, and I'll have that to you in due time so it can be reviewed especially for Wade here. So we'll see you again.
Thank you,
Wait, I got a question.
Of
With
course.
the transition, going with the new superintendent, are you gonna be the ones that take care of this until everything's over with?
Yeah, so it would be our proposal that when we submit this resolution for your consideration, that we would also submit an administration contract so that we sort of represent the commissioners and also make the project auditable with the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is a special type of, administration. And so we would see that through. with the contractors.
Concerns. I know they're in a transitional period right now, and I didn't want to get caught between the cracks or end up something back up on us.
It would, we're gonna sign an interlocal agreement there that basically makes the USD 243 responsible for payment and for financing of the project. The county serves as a pass-through just to kind of watch over it. All right, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank
you for having me.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Want to go ahead with this group?
We might as well.
Are all your people that need to be here present, or?
They're all here.
Because, you know, which is great, you're a half hour ahead of time, or you know if you want to stay and watch the meeting for half an hour, or?
If you would let us go now, that would be great, and I could get them back to school on time.
Oh, they're probably not in a huge
Yeah,
rush.
they are not lobbying for that.
Okay. All right, Ally Stuckey, FBLA funding request.
Can we put our presentation on Zoom? Or do you wanna just look at the handouts they have for you?
You got PowerPoint?
We did, yeah.
Our IT guy can.
We just mirror up there.
Once it links up. We can name the comments.
Are you?
I'm good.
Good morning, thank you. 15 minutes to get the TV cranked.
Do I need to be on the open Wi-Fi, or is there just? Oh, there it is. Samsung, Hughes.
You gotta be here, yes. But sometimes that's a bigger job than.
It is, that's right.
There we go.
Very early.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. Good morning, my name is Ally Stuckey, and I'm the president of our Waverly FBLA chapter.
My name is Ellen McNabb. I am the vice president of our Waverly FBLA chapter. My name is Lacey Johnson. I'm the parliamentarian of the Waverly Junior High chapter.
Good morning.
Today we wanted to talk to you guys about our FBLA National Conference, which is going to be held in Anaheim, California this year from June 29th to July 2nd. And today we are to discuss some funding ideas for the trip and possible Okay, so before we get into that, we're going to talk about our state preparation and what we had to do in order to qualify for nationals. So we had multiple study nights in February, March, and April, and every qualifier worked hard and put in the work. Many students have been preparing since November, and so for our practice, our sponsors and teachers have helped us greatly to prepare for our event. And a lot of people around the community of Waverly and just in our school listen to our speeches, and they give us feedback and critique. And then we go and perform. Every qualifier from the district went to state, and at state we had 23 speaking events and 33 testing events. Only the top 4 make it to nationals though.
So in 2023, we only had one qualifier, Colton Woodson. Our chapter was much smaller and we only had about 9 members. That year, FBLA was really starting to get bigger in our school. It was not much of a thing. It started to grow. In 2024, again, we only had one qualifier, Colton Stive. Our chapter had a massive growth in numbers. We went from 9 to 30, but not as many people did speaking events. And this year, we had 10 high school and 10 junior high qualifiers. We competed against almost 1,700 people, and a lot more people were involved in speaking events and long-term preparation. And here are our qualifiers. Just a little review of them.
Okay, so our fundraising and funding ideas that we have already done and are gonna do in the future. We just finished up selling Krispy Kreme donuts around our community, and we made around $3,500 from that. And then we are currently sending out business letters and organizations with the idea that if they donate a certain amount of money, that we will put their name on the back of our travel shirts when we go to Anaheim. And depending on how much they give, depends on how the size of their lettering and how big we will put the name. And then we are also thinking about doing a softball or a dodgeball tournament in the summer, certainly around like kind of Ohio days when like everyone's coming back and stuff. And then we are still open to ideas because we still need to raise a lot of money. So one fundraiser isn't going to do that for all of us.
Okay, so I get to talk about money. If you flip over, there is a budget in your packet, and it might just be as easy to see that as to click on the link. So this group with 20 kids going to California, our estimated expense or funding that we need to raise as a chapter is right under $25,000. And that will cover a van rental once we get there, just the registration for the conference, the flight, the hotel, food, and then we hope to go to Disneyland while we're there. Our district, we went to the school board meeting last week, and they have also contributed just under $6,000 to help for their board policy. That's not factored in here. Like the $24,000 is what we need to raise.
There's $6,000 in there.
It's not in,
Right,
yeah,
right,
that's
okay.
not in there. So from the donut sales, we as a club right now feel comfortable like we can put $3,600 that we already have in our fund towards the trip, and that leaves us about $21,000 we need to raise. We've already had 3 donors step up in the week we've been working at this, and so we have $2,500 that we have donated towards our trip. So we're right now about 18.6 is what we need to get these kids to nationals. My goal as their sponsor, if you look over to the side, like down at the bottom, the $847.57 is per kid. What if we don't do any more fundraising? They would have to pay out of pocket to go on the trip. My goal as a sponsor is I hope to get that number under $200. I'm not necessarily thinking it needs to get to 0, like they need to have some skin in the game personally too. Like it's a big trip to go to California, but I do need to get that number lower to make it affordable for students to go out. They've worked really hard to get there, so that is my spiel. Back to you.
That's quite a jump from 1 to 20,
Yes.
22.
20.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have 20 kids who are going to compete. We had 22 qualify.
That's what I thought you had.
2 junior high kids, parents weren't comfortable sending them to California, which I totally understand. Yeah, no, the kids put in the work this year. It was phenomenal watching them prepare and then go compete.
Thanks. If you guys have any questions or comments.
So you've already got rooms booked, I assume. I mean.
Currently, I have the hotel rooms and the flights booked. So those were the 2 things I wanted to lock in while the prices.
So when, maybe
Okay.
I didn't see it, but when does this event happen?
You go.
We leave on June 28th and we will come back on July 3rd.
Oh, okay.
The conference, and it's, traveling, as you guys know, is educational. The conference, there'll be 16,000 students from across the country at this conference, which is something small town kids don't usually see. It's a really cool thing to take the kids to, and then to go compete among 16,000 kids is great.
Kelly, I'm worked with you a lot, and I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer here. When we have it before, we didn't qualify the numbers that you're doing, and at that time, we didn't have junior high. But, everything was basically the group, the school board, and the parents that proceeded with that. And I know there's gonna be other schools that are gonna be doing the same thing. Me personally, and don't say anything against it, I think this is a wonderful activity, but I think using county monies, taxpayer monies is kind of reaching. Are we gonna buy 4-H stock for kids, or,
Sure.
see where I'm coming from on
And
that.
Todd, to that point, when I met with Kelly and Allie a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday, And at that time, I told them, I said, I'm not sure the county monies are going to be available for that, but this is part of the process to come in and give their spiel, which they've done a great job.
You've done a great job. I'm
And
really
so,
happy to
so,
see you
so
here.
they were, I mean, I was just speaking for myself when I talked to them, that on the county money side, but this is part of, we get to see what they're doing by
Yeah.
doing this. And funding is available, I think.
I'll go ahead and jump in. So
Please.
this happened, last year with, I think it was Burlington, wasn't it? And they came in and they gave their pitch to the commission. And the same, your same comments were the same last year as well. However, the county attorney has a diversion fund, which is not taxpayer money. It's derived by people who travel through Coffee County and they speed and they want to keep something off their record, or criminals who end up in court and they want to keep something off their record, so they pay what's called a diversion fee. That diversion fee goes into a special account that your county attorney, not only in Coffee County, but other counties or the cities, have the discretion to get that money back. It doesn't go in my pocket. It doesn't go in the pocket of the staff. I use it to help law enforcement or to help with projects like this. So I also know not only is Waverly coming in and asking for this type of funding, but there are two other projects that will be before this board in the very near future requesting similar funding. I think Burlington is going to come in and make the same request in a couple of weeks. So I'm willing to help support the program and provide some funding. I just need to see what that total amount is so that I can provide it, distribute it equally across the board based upon how many participants there are. Obviously, it wouldn't fund the whole thing. Last year, for example, I don't know what the total amount was, but it was a high amount and didn't cover the whole amount, but a portion of it was. But as Steve indicated, for me, my request is, and I've indicated to all the others who have sent me letters and requested funding, that they come in and they do a presentation, because to me that demonstrates it's serious. And to come in, this is somewhat probably intimidating, and I think that's important to get what you're doing out there so the public knows, because I think it's noteworthy what you're doing and what work it takes to come in here and what you've done to get to this point. So.
You all gave a very good presentation this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll just hear from you in time?
Yes, I think next week is when, is it next week when Burlington
Yeah,
is
I
coming?
think the 28th, Burlington plans to be here is what I was told, I believe.
There's another one, and I was just trying to look it up, that I think is coming soon, the Kid Win program that deals with engineering steam competition, doing the wind turbines. So that they've made a request as well. So I will be in touch, and whenever that amount is determined, then it'll go through the commissioners because they sign off on my voucher request. But the total amount, the 24,746, but there's 6,000 that's not included, and then the 3,600 that you've raised.
Yeah, so right now, we're looking at still needing about $18,646.
Okay.
That's what's left to cover in our expenses.
And the number of fundraisers that you still have left to go?
Well, they have been distributing letters to business doing the t-shirts. We're trying to wait to see what comes in from that before we plan our next one, but they have several ideas on what's next.
Have you reached out to Wolf Creek?
We did. Evergy isn't donating to schools. Like,
like, we went through, like, they had a link for support, and
The Jones Fund.
didn't know, like, the way, we looked at their website, we didn't think our mission and their mission aligned either, but
I would try.
are the Megan and Kate still
Well,
involved?
I think one of us.
Megan is, okay. I can reach out to Megan.
Dylan was big, FBLA, you might reach out to
Oh, was he?
Dylan.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if Lego's qualified anymore.
They have one,
Okay.
Mateo Plummer.
And you might just talk about that between the two of them or something.
Mhm.
Will he piggyback and go with you guys?
They're doing their own thing, but like we're planning together, if that makes sense. Like I'm helping his mom get everything booked for him.
That would be good on that.
His mom's also a teacher. She does
Oh.
back between the two buildings.
Okay, well, you've got that
Yeah.
everything. I knew you would.
Do you guys have any other questions for him?
What date do you need to know what at least the contribution would be?
I don't think I have a date. Like, I would need things to be funded, like know what our numbers are for kids, probably by mid-June, I would say, is when we need to know.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys
You
very
guys
much.
did a nice job.
Thank you.
You did a good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'll take that.
Everybody want to take a break?
That'd be good.
So I guess we'll take a 10-minute break and be back at 9:59, I guess.
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Do you want to adjust this where it says Tom Hugan on this resolution?
Oh, I thought we did. Oh, you know what? Hold on a minute. I think that was one Ryan handed out. Yes,
Oh, okay.
I'll take that over here.
Okay.
We'll review. Sorry about that.
We'll push the restart button here.
Thanks for catching that, Mike. We had the right one.
I didn't even look.
I think.
Yeah, this is the other one that got handed
Yeah.
to me, isn't it? Sorry, that's probably my fault. So, there we go. Well, I guess we just, Heidi's here, so we just will go ahead and do Planning and Zoning Administrator Heidi Harris Comprehensive Plan Kickoff Meeting. Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning, you guys. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's Monday, so. So I contacted Marvin last week, Thursday, to see when he was ready to start. They actually are gonna talk about when they're gonna start today at 1 with the company. They're gonna get this little meeting. So his question to us was, it's time to actually have a kickoff meeting, like they said in their proposal. So the question is, who do you want in the kickoff meeting? That's the question. So I'd asked Steve, and he's asked me to bring it to you guys. So the options that he threw out, and we can do other ones, would be staff, Russ, planning board, and commissioners, so you'd have a joint meeting. Or just, and then we'll add general public with all those, or no general public. It's up to you guys. Those are the two options, so.
This is just a kickoff meeting.
It's a kickoff meeting. It's to say, hey, we're Marvin Planning Consultants. They're going to give a 45-minute to an hour presentation on what they plan to do, how they're going to kind of line it out, what they expect out of us, what they expect out of the public, kind of thing. So.
What's everybody think?
I'm not sure that
We're gonna have, we've made provisions to have a lot of other public meetings. I mean, I'm not that I'm against having the public there, but, you know, this is just,
This is just
it's
a
not gonna,
kickoff.
it's not gonna be an input meeting for them, would
No.
it be for the public?
He did not say that it wasn't going to be. From my understanding of it, from reading his bid, it was just going to be information on what they're doing. I don't think there's going to be too much
to get
input
started, this is just to get started.
So what we could do, my suggestion, if you're okay with it, would be just to put us on the agenda, and I can maybe invite the chairman of the planning board. We can invite Russ to it, and we all have it on YouTube. Then the public can go and listen to it later. And if they have questions, they can obviously call any of you or me about the questions, since you have me in charge of the project. And then we can go from there.
So we could do that we could do that, like, we'd have our regular meeting, and then we could set that up for like an
A
afternoon.
1 o'clock?
A 1 o'clock.
Or whatever time in the afternoon, yep.
Yeah.
We could do that, yes.
That sound all right?
Then you're allowing the public to do it later, obviously, and still being able to allow for input if you want input, because you'd have it on your agenda and they can come.
Sure. When Heidi called, I mean, I didn't really have it. I just asked her to bring it before the commission, so that we could all make the decision on what to do. That's what it's all
I
about.
think talk about their good at this time, and just make sure on YouTube that the County Times, the public is going to be invited, where they can do theirs, because we may be still going over technical stuff and what we're wanting in it, and then it might drag off in a different direction.
Right,
Yeah.
right. To maybe limit that from, end up being an all-afternoon meeting or something, maybe would be my thought, but I'm flexible.
And then there'll be, when it does drag out here, that'll be in a public meeting, and that's what we're paying them to do, to see what
That's
the
right.
public wants.
It's going to be out in the public. If I understand, this is just the kickoff. This is just
Kickoff. Mm-hmm.
telling
They
us.
are gonna have 6 town hall meetings,
Right,
because
right.
we did after that, and it did get put in,
Right.
and it, as we talked about it, changed the pricing a little bit, like we talked about that one time.
Right.
But each city's going to have their time to come together as a city to talk about it with
Sure.
whoever's there, plus Marvin planning consultants and me, obviously be present to see what they're saying, so.
Okay.
So, when would you like to have that meeting, so I can kind of give them some dates, to get this, or how soon do you want to get started? Be the question.
The sooner the better, I would think, but also they're the ones gonna have to travel.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they're planning to do it via Zoom or Teams, if that's okay, for the kickoff, if you're okay with that.
Sure. I mean,
Then they wouldn't have to travel.
Okay.
They would do
You're
it
okay
when,
with that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So that's
They would do it when, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
whenever, they'd be via
Oh, by Zoom,
via
okay, I
Zoom.
thought you said
They want
by
to be here
June,
physically, so
right,
we could save hopefully a little bit of time and money in that. They just show up on the computer screen.
and we can talk to them, and they
Yep.
can talk to us.
Yep, just like you guys do with your other things
Right.
at the ALA.
Uh,
But they didn't give me a date because they were going to talk about when their schedules were gonna line up
yeah.
today.
What about May 5th?
Could do that.
That'll be, because next week, we've got checks and vouchers, isn't that right? Angie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
I don't know what's on the agenda for the 5th, but
You have, the planning and zoning
the hearing.
review case on hearing, and then, what else? Looks like, oh, and River City probably will be here for
For their
an update. And that's it so far.
On the 5th.
But we could do we could schedule for like
For
1
one?
o'clock, you think?
Well, you could unless you don't have anything, and then you could do it late morning.
Oh,
11?
I guess we can wait and see how our agenda forms and then decide on it. Can
You
we
could
do
work-
that?
Yeah.
How long would that take?
They said 45 minutes to an hour
Okay.
with the
Oh, yeah.
presentation. So, but then it'd be up to questions from us at
Sure.
that point. I would think they'd allow us to ask questions, so.
So if
I would think that
you started
this
at 11, and you went over lunch just a little bit,
I would say maybe if we have questions, 30 minutes, if they did an hour, so an hour and a half tops.
we could
Yeah.
we could set it for 11, and then I guess if things
Adjusted.
Yeah, we can put them on the agenda for then, and if we have other stuff to do after lunch, then
we
we'll do
could do, yeah.
it after lunch.
there's no point in stretching the meeting out for you guys if you can get it done.
Yeah,
you're
we
right.
might get done.
You're right.
Who knows?
Okay, so that
And then
answers.
Cinco de Mayo Day also.
Yeah.
Answers that question. Since I'm up here, I do have one more question. It's related to the comp plan, just so I don't have to come back and ask you guys this question later. But we also form a steering committee, so that way it's not all of you guys on it and you have to have a meeting every time they meet to talk about topics related to the comp plan. So they said they recommended about 8 to 20 people. I kind of made a list of people I thought should be on it, and I wanted your input, guidance, and what we should do.
that I had, of course, being on there since you have me as project manager plus for the zoning side. I had our planning consultant on there to be able to help guide us through the process still, since we have obviously never done a comp plan, so kind of get some guidance there. And then have Carl Lee help us to do the sanitation, and then of course have Wade, so that way we keep everything legal. And then I thought maybe all the mayors of the cities could be a spot, maybe not, that's up to you guys. Then one commissioner be on there, and then have a planning board representative, hopefully, well, maybe the vice chair at the moment, if he's available, or do secretary or somebody be part of it. And then economic development. Those are the main people I have. This is just the steering committee. We, of course, would add a road and bridge later, and the law enforcement or other people that needed to be part of it as well. We won't exclude them by any means.
You said Russ would be in.
Russ is, I would
him.
recommend him being
Okay,
there as well.
right,
He was
right.
number 2 on my list.
Sure.
So Steve, would you be interested in doing this, as you've been interested in this project?
Yeah, I could sit on it, if that's good for everybody else.
I'd make a suggestion, let's just leave Heidi with, we need a representative from each community. But I'd almost suggest that we might let each city council appoint somebody, not necessarily the mayor. I mean, if the mayor wants to be on it, that's fine.
That'd be a good idea.
And that's a good idea, if you had a rep from that particular.
That was the plan with that. I just didn't know if, so.
I mean, if the mayors want to be involved, that'd be great, but if they can't be.
So with your permission, can I go ahead and
Right.
start contacting the cities and have them start talking about it, and then bring back their input and tell me who they'd like to put on it?
They can
That
pick
way.
and choose their own delegate.
Exactly. That's a good idea.
All stakeholders.
That was, I wanted somebody
Okay.
from each city, and I just thought of the mayor, because, I mean, that's the prominent figure, but
Yeah.
I'm good with also
Yeah,
just asking
some of
them
the
to pick
cities-
somebody.
Some of the cities have their own planning boards too, I mean.
Correct, so that they pick whoever they'd like to be on it, and then, of course, I would let everybody know when the meeting was, and then
Okay.
we'll
Sounds good.
steer through the conversations and things. And the planning board will be involved as well too, because the public meeting aspect of it and all the input they will want them to do on it as well. So,
Sounds good.
well, that is all I
Yeah.
had on the plan for today, unless there's any other questions for me.
Heidi, we have you down for 9:05 next week,
Uh-huh.
and usually, River City comes in to give an update, and
I
they
can
do.
change that.
We can?
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't know if that was, I might have to bump you down just 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys, you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Heidi.
Okay, thank you.
I got up here late, I was coming up to listen to Heidi, so.
She put you the head of everything.
You don't have anything for us today?
Not yet,
Okay.
just working on regular stuff, just regular permits, site appraisals, things of that nature. Nothing to get in.
I do have a question though,
Yes.
on the water study that's being done, how's that coming along?
I'll get a hold of Saban, send him an email, go back downstairs. I haven't heard anything from Saban or
All right.
Alex. He works the engineer for Coffee Tree, Alex.
Okay.
I can't remember Alex's last name. But the last time I'd seen Saban, they said they were still working on it.
Okay.
I'll check in on it and see, tap into it and see what's going on.
Okay.
And if I get an immediate response, I'll come back up.
That'd be fine.
Any questions?
No, we tried to visit you this morning, but you were just smoke coming out of the desk in there. What's going on?
Just checking in on some other stuff,
We
see
asked
what's
the
going on
lady-
with KDHE.
We asked Amelia if she kept you locked in there, and then the suggestion was maybe have a double lock on it.
That would be good sometimes.
He was acting like someone else wanted to talk to him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I was just checking in with KDHE on one of our issues.
Okay.
On the liquid application, they're still working with A1 on the hottest side.
Yes, sir.
So just keeping tabs on that.
Okay.
So he's been real good to work with on that so far.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I was calling to get some permission to also look through some of Heidi's stuff that she got in front of him, and he granted me permission on that. So that way I can keep up with any other questions that could arise.
Good.
Because Wade and I had conversations on it also, so
Okay.
keeps us all in the loop. So,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I guess that's everything on our agenda. Do we want to do roundtable and then pass this stuff around? What do they like to do? Do you have any?
Sure. You want us to get downstairs,
I don't like going downstairs as much as people think that I take joy in requesting executive sessions. I don't think that those need to happen. And if there's a motion for an executive session, it's done so for what I think is a legitimate reason.
Right.
Yes, sir. So somewhat maybe of a housekeeping issue I'm gonna hand around. You just take one and pass it around, and then I'll tell you, once everybody has it, what I've handed out, and the reason why. Does everybody have it? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So what I handed out, I'd asked Angie to go back to when Huguenin had initially indicated he was going to be resigning, and pull the minutes that he was a part of. So at the very top you see 324, at the very bottom 47, and what I'm most interested in is on 324, there was a motion related to change orders number 29, 31, and 32. And that motion was made by Huguenin, just to deal with and address some issues that may come from that, they may not. But, I think the appropriate thing to do would be to be a motion to rescind that motion and then reapprove it. And I don't think substantively it changes anything, but the motion was made by Huguenin at that time, and I think someone else needs to make that motion.
Just for clarification, you're talking about 4 other commissioners who were there at the time? I mean, Mike just came on board today.
Correct. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna get another.
Yeah, right. So, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because so there's that one, and then from 4-7, the motion was made by Huguenin related to Resolution 751D. That's a resolution canceling outstanding county checks and warrant checks issued prior to January 1st, 2023, and replacing the funds in the county treasury. I think for housekeeping purposes, that motion should be rescinded and then reapproved again without Commissioner Avendroth part of that.
Can we do these all at once, or can we do them individually?
I think doing them individually because they'll relate back to certain dates.
No, I think that was one thought.
Give us just a second. Give us a second, please.
I didn't know he was going to do that.
I didn't know I was until just a little while ago.
That's okay.
I'm sure I know which ones.
So Wayne, on March 24th, which one under there are you talking?
The all three?
No,
The change orders.
Change
number
orders.
29. The outstanding check one.
I guess we'll just start on 324 and then we'll move on to 47.
well, I agree with you, they need to be just where we have them correct.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Dad, I'm sorry. Ron was
So you need a motion to rescind that motion, and then we're gonna make another motion.
Correct, you're not ready.
Yeah, give me just a second,
Give me a
please.
second, please.
That first one is ready.
And that first one is in reference to the change orders 29, 31, and 32 related to the law enforcement center. Those were presented in an open session. And change order 29 was a $26,889 deducted from the project construction contingency. Similarly, change order 31 was a total of $6,651 deducted from the project construction contingency. Change order number 32 was $5,276 to be deducted from the project's construction contingency. All of the above was put on the screen and discussed page by page with the commission at that time.
So can I go ahead and read the motion to rescind?
Are you ready?
No.
I'm ready.
Wait, just get ready to read it.
Well, go. If you want to do it, that's fine.
Okay. I move to rescind the motion made March 23rd, 2025, paragraph 13. Motion for the board to approve and for the chairman to sign the following change orders regarding construction relating to Coffee County Law Enforcement Center as approved by River City Construction. Let me read through the entire thing.
I don't think that's
Oh, okay.
necessary.
I think that's sufficient, I think. Or,
I do, and then
and that's change order number 29, change order number 31, change order number 32, with no change in the project guaranteed maximum price of $25,712,885. And that motion is made by Hewlett and seconded by McCurry. I'm making a motion to rescind.
Okay, we have a motion by Peterson and a seconded by Barker. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Now you're gonna make it again.
So you're typing that below that, are you?
I just copied it there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
24, did I type it wrong?
Oh, yeah, it says
24.
23 and it should be 24.
It's corrected.
Okay, so we've got that motion to rescind.
And then it's over.
Pardon me?
Now it's on there to read.
So now when we make this motion, do we need to read the entire thing? Or,
I would just go to change order numbers.
I think typically what's been done is the change orders in their entirety have been read, but I think it's been read before. It's not changing anything, it's the same thing. I think the amounts are really what the critical part is.
I'll make a motion for the board to approve and for the chairman to sign the following change orders regarding construction related to the Coffee County Law Enforcement Center as approved by River City Construction. And that's change order number 29. Change order number 31. And change order number 32. Am I reading the right thing?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. With no change in project guaranteed maximum price of $25,712,885.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Peterson and seconded by McCreary. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now which one?
And maybe just for clarification, so people wonder why that's being done. At that time, subsequent to that time and those motions being made, there's been a potential question as to former Commissioner Huguenin's ability to actually sit in that seat and participate due to statements that have been made regarding his resignation from that position in an effort to clean that up and make sure that things are in line with what's required under the law. The request has been made in the practice to actually take him out of that decision-making process and have the remaining commissioners who were present and unanimously approve this same motion, to make the motion and to approve the motion. This motion, just for housekeeping purposes, was unanimous across the board, even with former Commissioner Huguenin participating in that motion. So now his participation is removed. Again, it's a unanimous motion by the four other board members who were a part of that.
Just a clarification, basically. No, sure.
I just wanted that out there because if somebody wants to make an issue of it, what's going on, then now it's earmarked and preserved in an open meeting, and someone can go back and watch YouTube and see exactly what happened and why. Similarly, on 4-7, Resolution 751D, it's a similar request. The same basis as the motions that were just made from 324.
I'd make that motion to rescind resolution number 751D.
I'll second that. Been moved by Barker and seconded by Thompson. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm gonna see which one that was.
Is that one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find which paragraph it's in.
We're fine, we're not in a rush, we just make sure we get it where it's supposed to be while we're at it.
Okay, paragraph 4.
And that will likely require re-signing it, so maybe it needs to be resolution number 751D, small a, or something like that, so that there's a paper trail in case somebody wants to come back and say, okay, you rescinded this motion, tied to a resolution, then you reapproved the motion, what's the difference between the two? Just
751D.
So it would be D, small a, which would redo it as. Okay, Barker moved, and then Thompson seconded.
Yes.
rest of the next one.
Okay. Motion to approve resolution number 751DA, a resolution canceling outstanding county checks and warrant checks issued prior to January 1st, 2023, I guess that's correct, isn't it? Yeah. And replacing the funds in the county treasury. I so move.
I'll second.
Been moved by Thompson and seconded by McCurry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Hey, Angie, on that previous motion, got a little more housekeeping to do. Thompson seconded it. You got me in as a second. I think you did a copy paste.
That was the previous motion. So the previous motion,
I got you. So he had made the motion originally.
right,
And I
Yeah,
seconded.
you
you had the
seconded.
original second. Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty
It
confusing.
is.
I stand corrected. Yes. So what other motions on the 7th?
From the 7th, moving on to the next page, I think need to have a motion to reset public hearing for next week at 10 o'clock for the purposes of consideration of case SU 2025-01.
So basically just redoing that hearing. Do you rescind that one?
I think a public hearing was held, so I did rescind the public hearing, but it needs to be redone. For this week, that would be all that's required, and then next week, I've talked to Heidi, and I think as long as it's reflected in the minutes, because it's been previously subject to public notice, the only requirement is to put it in the minutes, and you can have a hearing next week if you need to. So I think that's what needs to happen, and then next week at 10 o'clock, you would review planning board case number SU 2025-01.
Okay.
Does that require the applicants to appear in, or do we just do our housekeeping?
I think they can if they want to, but I don't.
Or if we send that to Angie.
Oh, you're not rescinding it? Okay, so what are we doing?
Just resetting a public hearing at 10 o'clock next week for the purpose of consideration of case SU 2025-01. And the reasoning is there's already been a public hearing, so I don't think you can undo a public hearing.
Right.
So next week we'll have a public hearing.
Go through the motion.
Go through the motion.
Review what's been done.
Okay.
So just reset in public hearing?
Yes. $328.25 at 10 o'clock.
You ready?
And do we want to say for the purpose of consideration or purpose of reviewing case? Because it's already been considered?
I think it's fine the way it's written.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you not have your tablet?
I do.
Okay. Got a motion to reset a public hearing at 10 a.m. Monday, April 4th, April 28th, 2025, for the purpose of consideration of case SU 2025-01 for the establishment of an animal clinic or hospital with outside runs/pens as a special use in the A1 agriculture district. I'll move.
Second.
Been moved by Thompson and seconded by McCurry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So we're just setting another
Yes.
here.
Yeah, that'd be Frog Creek veterinary.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And we've already done it.
Right.
So those are the housekeeping issues that
Those are the ones that have concern.
So we need to notify those folks.
and I talked to Heidi,
Okay.
so now that this has been done, I'll let her know. And that last, well, I guess the last motion and subsequent hearing next week is the same reasoning as the others.
And that would be for protest, right? Hearing.
Well, that's, so there's a 30-day period of time, so in essence, it would potentially reset that time, but that time is currently running.
So that's all of them
Those are the ones that
you have concern about?
that I wanted to make a request that they be rescinded. Again, each of the motions and action that was taken, they were all unanimous when they were made, but out of an abundance of caution, in case somebody wants to come back and make an issue of it, that's why I made that request. Okay. Outside of that, that was my roundtable for today.
Okay, very good. Well, Todd, do you have anything for us?
I think in the future, when we discussed this some time back about, we need to get onto the agenda and get it set so other counties would know about it, about our out-of-county trash prices. We can get that in motion where they can be notified and, we're gonna set it in the future so they can adjust to it. We just need to take care of that little housekeeping item.
Yeah, we didn't ever do anything to take action, I don't believe.
I thought, wasn't he gonna bring some numbers in?
Yeah, he was gonna come back.
Right.
And
I mean, that was something that was going to be taken care of.
He may need more time too, but we just need to reach out to him.
Okay.
And then, two other things here. I was contacted last night. Somebody's inquiring about the Bailey house, buying it. I didn't have an answer. And I said it's leased right now, but I would check with the commission on that. So would you want to talk with those people or?
I can, so there's we need to pull that agreement and see what the timeline was. I think it's a year.
That's what I thought, was a year.
Yeah, and then at that point, you need to make a decision on how you want to deal with that. I think the other property that may be included in that same conversation, the Maryville property, what you want to do with that. I think it's run at the end of its life for the IRS redemption period, so the county should be in the position to own that outright without any, I'll call a cloud over it.
Right.
And under County Resolution 9, I believe it's 9/10, that gives the board the ability to make a decision on how they want to dispose of property. That's the same process that the county went through with the Sunset Manor, with the property out by the Meadows.
Yeah.
And so, for the commissioners who weren't a part of that process, the board, for example, on the Sunset Manor, there was a realtor involved, it went out, there was an offer put in, it went back and forth, ping-ponging back and forth with the commission and the potential buyer. That initial discussion wasn't disclosed because if they backed out, then someone might have a competitive advantage. At the very end, it was disclosed and what that process looked like. The property by the Meadows, Cameron Roth had agreed to, for no fee to the county, to provide an auction. That auction was both on the internet and live in person. People came out and were able to participate, and that's how that process went. So you have the ability to, as long as you announce it in advance, there are a number of different ways you can dispose of real property, as long as you follow what that resolution says.
I guess my preference is that we auction properties like that, gives everybody an open chance to participate. That's just my thought.
My thought on that would be listen to a realtor that takes us plumb out of where there's somebody, because we've heard when we leased, or we had bids put out for the Bailey grass and farm ground, there's quite a few people that didn't read the paper, I mean, it's their own deal, but if we put it out there, but if it was listed to a realtor, maybe we'd get top dollar for it, and everybody would be aware of it through their listings and websites and how it goes on that.
Yeah, I understand your concern on that, but we talked about it last year and said that we were going to put it up for bids this year. Talked about it multiple times in the meeting. I hate if anybody feels they got left out, okay? You know,
But that's
and
the only
not
way to do all
everybody's
that.
going to see a realtor
Yeah.
supposed to either,
Yeah.
you know?
This is true.
Yeah.
And I think whatever way you do it, the benefit
Yeah.
of the auction,
That
at least
commission
by the
fees.
Meadows property, is there was no commission, although,
Yeah, and I'm for trying to include somebody like that, because I did have a request from him, from Cameron, that here a while back, if we were interested in doing that, and I said my opinion was we were kind of undecided at this point, but that we needed to check
I'll
in
share
there.
that with the people that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fine with me, and that would get it out there, you know, as much as possible, you know.
Back on the Bailey property, we still need to include, my opinion is we still need to include that lake. And the lake's not,
well, so that's something I was gonna
Yes.
bring up, because right now, I think before that, the decision is made whether that property needs to be disposed, you need to get a map that shows the current, outline of what the property description is, because that may not be what you think it is, and then if you want it changed, that can be done, but it has to go through a certain process.
What I wanted to add into that's a great idea, because we need to make sure that we have the lagoon in the proper location.
right,
Now, it's down the hills quite a ways from the house. So when he talks about the outline of it, there may be a chance you want to move it up the hill where it makes it
That's my thought.
a better
Because
location for the property and who may buy it, because of where it's located at, it's quite a ways down the hill.
Right.
Like
And also-
400 feet.
also, it might get it out of some area that we might want later on.
Well,
It's my opinion, you know, you don't
It goes
want
back
to.
to the correct outline.
the current property description for the residents, the lagoon is outside that property description.
Yeah.
Now, I think the idea, just going back in time, was that if chips came through, then there would be some sort of wastewater system installed, and that lagoon would be absorbed into that, but that's
Yeah.
not
That's
happening.
kind of why we stalled, if I remember right.
Well, the next thing you need to also think about is that same area. I know everybody's, asking about chips and the checks in the mail conversation that's been going on for some time, and because I get stopped and asked about that. But that property to the east of where the Bailey House is, there has been a lot of work done to at least tentatively make that into an industrial park type area with the outlines, and Carl's been a part of those conversations. So we talked about wastewater, utilities, and putting an outline, and then later on down the road, whether it's CHIPS or somebody else, I think the decision needs to be made, or at least discussed, in putting that property up for sale, if that's what you want to do, with the idea that somewhere in the near future that may be an industrial park looking out your back window. That changes what people may think about that property. If somewhere down the road there may be a factory of some type in the backyard. And I'm only saying that because right now it's a very picturesque property where you go out in the back and you see rolling fields, but that has the potential to change, and that may impact somebody's willingness to, and I don't know what the right answer is, although having, maybe continuing the conversation about what you want to do to the east of that property, and if it is something you want to develop into a viable industrial park with its artery right off of I-35 and Highway 75. I do know from conversations with economic development during that time, Rhonda and even our new economic development director, there are people who are reaching out to the county asking if there's any prime sites for some sort of industrial establishment to come in. So,
to tailor in off of that, as he talked about that, there were some drawings done. I can't remember to what extent they have been, but I think it was all done through CFS. So it would behoove us also to talk to them and sit down in that planning session of what, because I know public will stuff, this all ties into the planning meetings also that we'll be having through Heidi and through the group also, what could happen in this area, what's industrial, what services do we have there, such as water, power, natural gas, because there's a lot of that stuff that was covered in conversations that Wade knows in, but we don't know, I don't have the detail of what it was.
So Joe Serrano was involved in putting together basically a master development agreement that would include, for the purposes of CHIPS, because it was required, what that infrastructure would look like, but the question's always been, who would pay for it, how would it get there, and how would it, because the county, if you remember the conversation going back in time a little bit, the county's full faith and credit is tapped out. So how would you build that infrastructure so that a site would be ready for someone to go vertical? So that would include the water, the utilities, the roads, and whatnot, and then creating that geographic boundary. And part of the conversation was to create an industrial district, which would then have its own board, which could then issue its own debt, and the repayment of that debt would go through assessments on the property that would carry into the future, and it wouldn't count against the county's full faith and credit. But then you have potential wastewater issues, which Sam Green from Fisher Patterson was involved in, and then you have the CFS, and then you have Carl, who was talking about water. So it probably is, in my opinion, before moving too far on the property itself, one, figure out if you're satisfied with what the boundaries are for the property description, because it's a large rectangle, and it does not include the lake and the pond, or whatever you want to call that, going to the west. And I think that's something that would need to be addressed first. If that parcel is to expand in size and scope, which may be appropriate, and then to figure out what you want to do to the west, regardless of whether CHIPS occurs or not. The idea was, Plan B was to develop that into an industrial site where if you had an industry that was interested in putting a warehouse or a distribution center or something like that in, then you had that in the works, which would then impact, in my opinion, what somebody might want to do with that property and what they would bid on it, because the value would potentially fluctuate.
Yeah.
So those are just my
Right.
thoughts out loud.
Do we need to do a work session or something and go through that with the different entities that you're talking about and try to get us a comprehensive subject here of what we're going to do with it? Because, I mean, we've been sitting on this forever. It's a $4.5 million haymaker right now.
Right.
This kind of falls in line with the upcoming comprehensive plan
Yeah.
that we're getting ready to endeavor on. So this is something that could be incorporated with that comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
So,
it could be.
Just fix that whole regional area up there, what takes place up there.
so you're saying that land for the house just needs replatted? Need to get resurveyed to encompass the lagoons?
If that's what you want.
services?
Well, and right now, the way it sits is that the lake isn't part of that
Not
property.
included, it
Not
should
included
be.
in that property.
Gonna make it a lot more attractive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I were able to buy that place, I would want that lake with that place.
And I think the lagoon needs moved uphill, if we were wanting to try to sell it.
Soil type would make it easy to do.
It would.
It would be easy to
It'd
do.
be easy to move.
Yeah, it would be easy to
Okay.
move.
And then as far as the boundaries on the house,
I kinda think that draw there to the west wouldn't be a bad boundary.
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. It would give,
And then, go behind the house and whatever,
and give them some space, give that property some space.
do they need a little, I don't know where the line is on the east side, but do they need a little more room east of the drive, or how far east of that?
There's a
block?
hedgerow up on the top of the hill
To the east.
to the east. Because there's a hay meadow that starts as the hill goes down towards the east.
I would take a look at having a meeting together where you can all look at the same map.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Think of that, all, each of you.
Because-
drive out
Because
there.
it's not near that far east now, is it, the line
I'm not sure,
on what was
because
primarily?
that's why I was talking about the lagoon, because I remember the lagoon was outside that.
So I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
That's why I was, because you just go up to the next place, clean out, that way everybody can.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that expensive to
Margin,
change.
yeah, it would be a margin.
That could be
Yeah.
done in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, that's fine for that, just to establish what we want here in the county, so.
You kidding?
Is that part of that CID district up there, that particular property?
No, not now, there's just
didn't
stuff
extend that
that
far?
would be,
There's just a little
am I
roadway
correct,
there
guys?
along the front.
I'm sure that's right.
Can I go ahead and talk about the water study while he's bringing that up? Just as a quick update, I did get hold of Saban, and he just now got a contract put together with Midwest. The importance of that is they're the ones who work with Public Wholesale 12, which is the water plant up there. I know that they're looking at, regardless what happens with CHIPS,
Right.
upgrading that water plant because they're maxed out.
Right.
So there's a lot of, as we go into the planning part of this, that's our water source for that area. So they just got that all worked out, so Rick Walker's supposed to be, they're gonna be working with them. Alex Darby with, PEC is who represents Coffee Free. And so they're working on getting that data from, with them. And then they're still working with the city of Burlington to get data from them on their water plant, and information to request. I just need to get a copy of the contract from Angie, so
It just hadn't been, I don't even know how long the water study's been going on.
yeah, I need to,
But.
if I get a copy of the contract, I'll take a look at it and I'll come back to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Carl.
No problem.
So this is your lagoon right here, and this is the outline of what's included in the property for the residence itself. So it's a long rectangle, and then it ends right here, and then everything else is a part of this parcel. So the idea was, and if I remember right, Carl can correct me if I'm wrong, when CHIPS was talked about, this whole area was gonna be absorbed by CHIPS fabs, and there's, probably need to go back in time and pull up what what the designs were, but multiple roads, access here, and this was all gonna be absorbed with chip fab, the 4 fabs and then supporting fabs that would show up later on down the road. This area to the north and to the west of the Bailey house, or the county property, was not really contemplated at that time because the idea would be things would grow to the north and to the west.
Yeah.
However, my understanding is there was a later discussion about this area and the north part of that parcel later becoming some sort of growth. Is that?
That possibility was there. There was things to where he drug that arrow, like, I feel better if I point at it too, but basically this whole area, we had plans to utilize that area. Now, it could have been part of it was for more growth, other parts of it could have been if we was able to use it for wastewater lagoon storage, if our volume numbers was low enough. I mean, there was other things that's factored into why we would use that area.
Okay. I also think originally this body of water was taken out of the land because there was the thought process that water might be a source of water for something to do with the chips fab.
Right.
If you remember
Just a precaution.
the amount of water that they would have to use, but I think that's been taken out of the equation through discussions with the water district. So I don't know of a reason why from here going across or even going up to where the lagoon is, going across outside of potential growth in the future, why this wouldn't be something you can redraw and include this parcel here. But like I said, if this area to the east is going to become an industrial park or something later on down the road, then you might be putting the cart before the horse and changing anything until you know what's going to happen there, because I don't have a good answer. That you now know my thought process and what's out there that you need to take into consideration. And I don't have a good answer.
Did you reach out to Wyatt last week?
No, I haven't got around to that.
Okay.
It's on my list to do, but I need to get a hold of him and see if there's any, and that's Dr. Wyatt, to see if you heard anything.
No, I haven't. The only thing I can add to is once in a while take some time and research to see what's being said, that there is still $5 billion that's not been spent yet. I was able to verify that. So there's something there, but there's nothing that went along with it saying how they was going to use it. And the current Commerce Secretary has not made it, has made a comment one way or the other on what's going to happen. Both sides, both Republicans and Democrats, though, still believe in the CHIPS program. That's why it's kind of drifted to the wayside, because that's why it hasn't been voted out or changed or anything. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Hasn't the president said use that money somewhere else?
This would have been 2 to 3 weeks ago when I seen that. He hadn't, at that time it hadn't been, but it was locked in because it's part of law.
Right.
It's part of law, and they hadn't figured out how they was going to move that money.
I think he was speaking to the House and the Senate, like, turn it loose, we can use it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But because it was law, he spoke off.
But that was still there, and I know that our ask as part of that was smaller than $5 billion. So there's that.
My understanding is the last time I spoke with Dr. Wyatt, and he's a lot more intelligent than I am, so I might be misstating exactly what he said, but the current administration is not a big fan of some of the specific requirements included within the CHIPS and Science Act, and I think that's the part. But as it relates to chip manufacturing within the United States, the current administration is in support of that. That was actually something that during COVID, I think the Trump administration had made a big push for, because of some of the supply chain issues that resulted during the peak of COVID, and how things came to a screeching halt. So, I don't know what you want, me to do from this point, because it's something that needs to be discussed, but that's the.
The hedgerow is that's a hedgerow to the east there.
Yeah, that's right.
That line right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
See, that's what I was, when you brought that up, Todd, that I don't know whether we need more room between the driveway to the east than where that line is now. If we go much further, we just will go over to that hedgerow or something.
That's what I was.
Would be my opinion.
And that's.
And then maybe on the north side of the house, maybe we move that line out there to where that narrows down, and then that ought to be where the lagoon would be moved up to
And then go to the draw.
if elevation wise that's feasible, you know. Back there where that narrows down, where it's skinny, where that white dot is up there, maybe it could be, lagoon could be right there, and then I don't know if we'd go west over and follow that draw out to the road. I mean, that'd make a, you know, go straight.
Do you have an idea, Carl, where you can locate the lagoon?
Is this that white spot you was talking about, Wade?
Yeah, just right there where.
See, that would be, that's the actual trench, they'll take it down, I think they got flower beds right.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if out there right where that narrows down, if we could put the line out there.
Right.
And then maybe go west over to that draw. I don't know whether,
That would make a nice.
how big a pain in the rear that is just to follow that draw as the legal.
Well, I don't remember if we scroll back this way, show that over there in Lakes Road. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Wade, but I don't remember this area over here getting used for anything. And when you talk about the attractiveness of the property, to make sure we get that one person's, man, I love this place.
Well,
You know, they get
Go
this
clear
little bit of timber with that also.
Go clear to the west road then,
Yeah.
possibly.
by going to the hedgerow east and then fly straight across to Lakes Road, that would make a nice property there for.
I mean, you know, a lot of people think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of people think.
And that
well,
makes
you
it square, you don't have jagged lines.
And that way, that would keep the property line.
Go ahead.
I just brought that up, because, I mean, if we're gonna sit on it, you know, we need to be thinking about it, but we don't wanna, like Wade said, we don't wanna put the cart in front of the horse if the chips factory's coming through. We don't want somebody to pour $1.5, $2 million, whatever it would be for that property out on that, and then all of a sudden they're gonna have a monstrous cement wall behind their house.
Well, I understand. Would we sell it with that understanding that that's a possibility? I mean,
Should we sit on it for a little bit and see what happens with the CHIP Act?
Yeah, I would suggest, if you want to redefine the boundaries of the property, I don't think that's going to change in the future. Whatever you think that footprint needs to look like, I'll go ahead and get that footprint put in place, and then we can do some due diligence behind the scenes and figure out if we have any more answers. I mean, going from one administration to the next administration and figuring out who are the people that need to be talked to. I know that was one of the struggles, getting a sit down with somebody who would listen in Washington D.C. and say, hey, Kansas is not just another flyover state. There's actually quite a bit of substance, and the people here are committed to being a part of national security and so on and so forth, the chips and signs side of it. But getting that sit down has proved to be the difficult part. I know at the 12th hour, and Carl can jump in and clean up what I'm saying if I misstated, but the administration, under the Chips and Science Act, there was an interview with the county's part of the process, or EMP's part of the process, with a number of people who were involved, and I was originally part of that due diligence conversation, but I was asked to exit that part of it because they don't want to have an attorney involved, so which is fine. But Carl was a part of that, and then that conversation did occur, and that was at the very end. And January?
Yeah, it would have been January.
So,
Yeah, it was the CHIPS people that,
so the project gained a lot of interest, and I think if there would have been more time, it might have been able to cross the finish line at that point, but then you immediately switched administrations and people were let go and whatnot, so everything's somewhat in flux, which is very unfortunate. And for the public's concern about what has occurred and that it's just spinning, like if you look at your computer screen and you go to get into a program and it just sits and spins, that's in essence what we're doing right now. We're just sitting and spinning. It's no different than saying the check's in the mail. So for the investment the county's made, the people want to see a return on that investment, and I think it's unfortunate that we're in this current situation, but I don't think all hope is lost. I know that's easy to say, especially in today's climate, but if the county wouldn't have stuck its neck out, wouldn't have made that initial investment, the project that we're talking about right now would have never have been considered, and if something does happen, it will be a great boon to the local community, to the region, and to the state of Kansas. Do I hope that happens? Absolutely, but I'm not. Same way I tell people when they ask me what will happen with the jury in a jury trial, I have no idea.
Well, I think we had a lot of the things we're looking for, or we wouldn't have made it this far into the elimination process. I mean, am I correct, guys?
I think when we got up to that process of just trying to get it over the top of the hill, we're a Republican state, and if you look at the map and how everything shook out, there was pretty distinguished who got it and who didn't. And Carl White, Burns Mack, Saban, his group, everybody we had involved did what they're supposed to. Garrett Nordstrom, Joe Serrano. I mean, when we was in that interview, they stepped up and hit the ball out. Maybe we hit a triple instead of a home run, but I mean, they did their job. It was, for Carl, it was money well spent. We did everything we were supposed to. Carl White had a good plan. It was sound. He stepped up for somebody that's never lived in our area, never been in our area. He did a great job of representing us. No regrets on that part of it. But we don't know what took place behind closed doors up there, why we couldn't get it over the final hump. Because what it was a question and answer session that they had of a panel of maybe 5 people, maybe 6. And so our experts we had hired, to me, did their job. Right. It was just for whatever reason, whatever politics took place, I blame it on politics. We didn't have the right.
That was my concern.
Yes. I'll let you solve it.
Well, no, that's what it boiled down to.
Yes. And for me, that's what it was, because we had the water, we had the region behind us. We had things there. It's just for whatever reason, politics didn't follow me.
But we could go ahead and detail the property that the commission would like to do, and then just, have that done.
That would be...
Do a preliminary plat on it?
Yeah.
Subject to approval later?
Yeah.
Because I think you guys really need to understand what was going to take place on this part of it over here.
Yeah.
And see the picture of how it was planned out, how it was laid.
Yeah.
As you do that preliminary work, if you think you need to change something, you still can.
Sure.
Well, just if we move that east line over to that hedgerow, that'd give them a little more buffer.
It would.
And what I was gonna say before is, in my mind, typically, if you've got a house in the country, well, maybe we don't wanna go with, 20 acres or whatever, because we want to look at the value of the land and how much that's going to drive the total purchase cost up. But in this case, we've got a very substantial home that I feel, if you cut off that whole south side, that's not going to be an insurmountable figure for any person that's going to want to buy that home. That's my thought. I think
a house of that nature.
Yeah, that's my point. I think they're going to be wanting that buffer. if they're willing to pay that much money, we move that line a little further
agree.
north, up there north of the house, up there, you know, maybe we even go a fraction further, move that lagoon down the hill just a little bit. But where that narrows up there and draws a east-west heading in there,
Carl, if you move this lagoon halfway down,
Oh, yeah.
if you look.
Whoever we'd have build it, all they gotta do is go up there, they would dig the hole, cut the line, retap, and then glue in a new piece of line. And then, of course, we'd have to decommission the old one, which is basically just fold everything over.
You just fill that in there.
Yeah, just fold it up and then plant it back to ground.
because that's not very
De-water it,
expensive
of course, but
Right.
to dig a lagoon. It doesn't cost that much.
Would it be less of a cost to go ahead and repurpose what's there and use this existing?
yeah, just
lines
use,
that are there?
yeah, that line's there, that's what I'm saying, you just,
Just move uphill.
we've done that already, in last year, I've done that once or twice already, where they just took and moved up. It was a 30-year-old lagoon, so.
Yeah.
They just moved up,
Yeah.
and that's what you would do, and then,
You wanna keep some distance between the house and the lagoon?
I would keep some.
You know
I'm
how
not-
that works out.
Yeah,
It's a-
you want some, but I'm not gonna tell, there's not an exact number, because anytime the wind, the water will invert, you'll have a slight bit of odor. But as much as air moving is across there, we should be okay, but I wouldn't.
Typically, you're gonna have
I would not put the
lagoon
lagoon right next to the shop, I would not put it right here in this area, you know, where you had it out here, right out in.
That's what I thought, we'd go out there a little ways north of that, where you can see that grass part that's been mowed.
But if, you know, whether it's a family or somebody buys it to entertain people, when you think about the swimming pool, the lake, and you got an area you can make your walking trail around
Exactly.
everything down to those trees.
I just think that makes it a lot more attractive.
Yeah, I just don't think it'd be prohibitive to put some extra acres with it, I think it'd make it more attractive.
Because people like to lick the water, so have your supper and go look at the water.
Sure.
It's a very nice place.
It is a nice place.
I've never been in it, but you can see some of the roads.
It's a lot of grass, I can tell you that.
It's a lot of grass to mow.
So who's gonna take action on that and redraw the lines? Who's gonna do that?
That had to be,
Let's get a surveyor.
we have to research it.
So what I would suggest is we get this map printed, it goes around, everybody marks what they wanna see happen, and then we can get a surveyor, because I wouldn't wanna get a survey done and then it not be what everybody
Sure.
agreed to.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I can,
Yeah, we can draw a line on it and pass it around, compare everybody's line, and then we come to a happy medium. Is that?
Yeah, and I'd certainly also put on you somehow, whether it's Burns and Mac or Saban, come in and talk to you how the industrial area was set up. So that gives you the idea, the picture, of what we had, what it could look like into the future, things of that nature. Like where we're just gonna bring water in, where wastewater may, you know, just things like that, so when Wade talks about the industrial area, you talk about the industrial area, you would have an idea of what it was.
But Saban would be able to,
I think it was Saban that drew everything. I can check with Saban.
it could be Saban, I know Howell had some maps that
Right.
One thing
were
about
part
it.
of that.
and he's burning that.
He's Burns and Mac,
Yeah.
so there was,
I like the paper one.
Burns and Mac there's a master agreement with Burns and Mac, and then branches off that would have been for the county, and then for E&P and TDM, and they would have been what I characterize as flight control to get everybody moving in the right direction, especially if funding was awarded. They would be sort of the equivalent of our River City here in the county to make sure all the subcontractors are doing what they're supposed to be. Part of the agreement with the county was for the development of the land, because you can't, the funding under the CHIPS Act would have been to go vertical, but the infrastructure was not a part of that, so the county was gonna have to be the master developer. And I don't know if you remember the conversation early on, we had Fisher Patterson here, and I think it was Huguenot who said, well, I didn't know we were gonna be the master developer of the land, and it was, Charles Branson who said, well, if you are, then you need to figure out what you want to do with the land, because you're gonna be the one who gets to make the calls on the development.
Right, the most important part of that would be you guys learn the terminology that Wade and I've got to hear through the process, and then that gives you an idea of what you're hearing, what you're looking at. And if you do get a question, you have an idea how to take care of that question, who you may want to go to or answer it yourself. But it brings you up to speed as far as the terminology that we've got to hear and what's going on out there.
Well, and I think that was, in my mind anyhow, what I've gathered. I wasn't here at the time, but, it was kind of presented to everybody that, okay, we're applying for this grant, and they're gonna pay for everything. That's kind of the way it was presented to the board. You get the property and all that, you're gonna be reimbursed for all this, and I don't know that it was everybody's idea. Like you said, they didn't wanna be the developers, but that's essentially what you end up being.
I sat in one of those meetings where they were talking about we were gonna be responsible for curbing and guttering and streets and things like that. And it's like, that could be a very high price.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen any bang for what the investment is now. We're
Right.
wanting, if we start pushing on this property here, we can get people's heads popping up, say, oh, they may be turning, maybe we need to be talking to them, working with, because right now, we're not getting anywhere with it. How long has it been since you purchased the property?
I was here.
I wasn't here,
21
21, 22.
or 22, I can't remember. Maybe, to your point, everybody sitting on the board right now was not a part of that initial dialogue or the purchase of the property. And so over time, the institutional knowledge that goes with that is gone. I mean, I can do my best to try to update you the best I can. Carl can do the same. You need to know what everybody knew in the beginning, and now you're at a disadvantage.
Well, we'd be at a very big disadvantage, because that knowledge that we don't know could be used against us. Oh, well, they don't know about this, we can cut a corner here or something.
Well, the example I would give you is like if you're talking about where the possible roads could have run through. By seeing what we had for a layover map, that gives you that idea, that clues you into what we was talking about. Storm runoff, because we have to, we got to meet a definition what the storm runoff will be on there. So you would have an idea, oh, this is why they talked about that. So as you guys become the master developers, this helps you establish that language to know what's going on, and then if you need to tell somebody, you can.
And it's not a flat place out there. There's quite a bit of terrain to it, ups and downs and drainage and stuff, so.
And this becomes a good communication link between you and Jenny, the Economic Development Director, of how do we develop this into the future. I'm not saying that just use what we've done in the past as an educational tool for your knowledge.
Didn't mean to open a can of worms there, but something's got to be pushed on this. We got to do something.
Well,
Even if our pushing on it gets them to set their wheels going, or tell us no, one or the other. I think that's where we're.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to be in a position to push them one way or the other, but back to the property, I think if we go ahead and get that, sorted out like we wanted, then that'll be the first step. And then whatever happens from there is.
You're developing the common operating picture for U5 for this year.
Right.
Well, and it may cause something that we say, hey, we've squared this off, we want to sell the property, and it may speed them up on making a decision. They may want part of that. Who knows? But it's a big drain. If we wanted to develop something else where we're tapped out, they'll give us food for thought there to think about on that.
Yeah.
And one other thing here before I pass the torch to you, something that I've been sitting here since coming on board is we've been waiving dumping expenses on structures that are torn down. I was wondering if we needed to think about something to waive that if something's going to go back in on that, like housing of some sort to help with things, or instead of just waiving that fee and it ends up being a vacant lot. you know, maybe, hey, if you got 3 years to develop, that's good. If not, not a full rate of whatever it would cost, but just, this is something I want to throw out to you guys to think about. It just,
Right.
because since I've been here, we've had a lot of demolitions that have gone on that's went out to the dump.
Right, right.
But part of that is just to improve the community.
I understand that part too.
I mean, if you got a house that's, or a structure that's, for instance, I think a couple structures had fires in. For one thing, it devalues the property around that. It helps improve that community. I guess I don't have a problem with waiving those.
And that's why I'm asking.
I don't, because as a normal rule, those folks are going to, as a normal rule, what we're being told is that once they get that lot cleared, another structure is going to go in at some time. But even if it didn't, it still helps. My opinion, it still helps the property.
And we get rid of a
That's good.
safety hazard
A
or
safety
whatever,
hazard or
if
whatever.
it is in a neighborhood, if it's in town or something, you know, we don't have
But
kids
that was my
getting
2
hurt
cents
or
worth,
whatever.
for whatever that's worth, Bob.
Yeah.
I really can't say too much on this because I have utilized that program multiple times. And I can tell you that I currently have a trailer home that the landfill fees were waived on. And I'm kind of in a hurry to get the trailer house gone because I actually have a pad built for another house that goes in there.
And I'm all for that.
So I agree with you 100% on that aspect, but I also agree with these guys. Some of these structures would never get removed if it weren't for somebody helping with them too, so. And I know at one time the housing authority had a little contract that said there was a question on there that asked if something was going to be put back in place of that. Now, I don't know if that's still effective with her. I mean, that's.
I'm pretty sure that's several years back. At one time, didn't the county even pay for the demolition? I think maybe they did. This been several.
To promote the building.
Yeah,
I think we went back to the Steve
One
Lytle
time.
days, there was some of that back in the Steve Lytle days. I mean, that'd be a good question for Steve.
Yeah.
Come across him.
Yeah, I'm just pretty sure
There,
that
at one
they
time,
paid.
there was.
They paid for actually, waived the fees, and whether it was the housing authority or whoever it was, paid for the actual cost of the demolition. I know Graybill tearing down a bunch of houses and trailer houses and stuff back then, he still does, I mean, but I know, I'm just certain that was some housing authority projects, so
Yeah,
it
we
is
were-
kinda cut back a little from what it was.
One time, the housing authority did have a budget there every year that went towards demolitions of unsafe structures, so.
Okay.
I don't know if that got assessed back to the properties, or if it was just,
I don't think so.
it's been quite a while since she's
Yeah.
down there, so.
Yeah.
You maybe even collect more money off that grass lot than the old junk house or too.
Sometimes empty lots are worth more than a
Yeah,
house sitting there.
and as far as the public health side of it, you're eliminating chance of lead poisoning to a child or mold issues, things of that nature.
Yeah.
That being gone, having something better built.
Yeah.
You're talking about a healthier living environment.
Yeah. Well, good discussion, Tom.
And you're gonna get those people that's gonna buy the lot next to them because they don't want neighbors. So.
You're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
So, we're
But,
gonna
which
tear
may be a
this
bigger
down.
house with a, yeah.
Carl, is it when they do a demolition with something with lead paint or friable asbestos, is it taken care of correctly, or is it just bulldozed?
As long as it's going to, as long as it's going to the landfill. It's something you don't wanna burn in the aerosol either. So as long as it's being demolished and going to the landfill and they're burying it, you're good.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
But for healthy
Well, no,
living.
good
it's
discussion,
great.
Todd. Thank you.
For healthy living, that's a great idea to
Right,
do that.
right, right.
Keep that.
Yeah. Okay.
Ready for me?
Yes, sir.
I do have something.
Okay.
Hey, I attended the Burlington City Council meeting last week, and they revisited, brought it up again, the jake break. I know we briefly talked about that, but they have city ordinances for jake breaking, but it has to occur within the city limits. And a lot of the Jake breaking complaints they're having are when the trucks are coming into the city limits and it's happening out in the county. So, is there anything the county can do, any resolution?
Isn't there a 3-mile radius around there that they kind of have a control over too?
I think there is, but I think that because that's a state highway, it's county.
So zoning, zoning thing.
So,
But they want to know if there's anything the county can do.
Look, I like the sound of the Jake break.
I'm not very thrilled about it.
So what do they propose? Yeah, I'm not even.
Trucking money. They're all
I think they just want some
Yeah,
way
I'm
to
not-
try to enforce it, and that's just it, if you get some resolution or whatever in place, then you have to enforce it, so.
well, and if you're gonna bring that up, then I think you probably need to have the sheriff and undersheriff be part of that conversation, because the enforcement side of it would fall on law enforcement.
The jig breaking thing, is that a city ordinance that they've established, or is that? Yeah, and some other cities have that.
Yeah, lots of places.
But you can only enforce it within the city limits.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah,
wouldn't that be an enforcement issue for the city since they established the ordinance?
Well, they're wanting
No.
it extended
They're wanting
further
it
out.
extended out.
Oh, I see, down the highway a little
Yeah,
further.
I'm not in favor,
I'm not either.
I'm not in favor of that.
You'd have to consider it as you come in to the city of Burlington from the Four Corners.
Yeah.
But then if you're gonna do it there, then you're gonna do it in Lebo, and Leroy, and
Exactly.
Waverly, and Gridley. I mean, they would all likely wanna be considered as well, would be my anticipation. But I don't know, I've not been a part of those conversations. I did have the chief of police mention it to me, and, that's as far as it went. So apparently they're,
I mean, I'm sure there's trucks that have them on that don't turn them off till they get past the sign, and then they'd ought to be getting a ticket for that if they are, but.
Anyway, it was brought up, so.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to have some statistics on how many different locations and complaints there are related to jake breaks, if it's identified specific to one area coming into the city. Is it all the city? Are there multiple complaints all across the board? I mean, I don't know, but to enforce that would require, you'd have to have, you want a county deputy sitting at the north end of the county waiting for semis to come into city of Burlington and then pull them over. I'm not sure. That's why I think you need to have the sheriff involved in it.
I'm also curious if any other counties actually do anything.
Right.
I know Hartford has no jake break signs there, and I've been in the area since '99, and I've never seen anybody pull over. So.
Right.
I think in Burlington, I can recall maybe one ticket probably being issued for that.
I see.
That's it.
Well, and obviously those are not, but I mean, the trucks have mufflers on them, they're not obnoxious anyhow, but it's the people that's got straight pipes that cause
And they do
complaints,
bellow.
you know, and they do.
Kind of pretty sound.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean,
Your windows fall out.
yeah, kind of all, but I mean, I would think, I don't know how to say. The highway was there when you bought your house, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure whether that would be very enforceable for us or not, you know.
And I just thought Rick bring that up. And also, just real briefly, I have been in contact with another individual who is interested in the Marie Bell's building.
Okay, good.
Cool. Just leave it at that for now, just until we decide to, I can try to find out more information, I guess, concerning them, but we'll still have to decide how we're going to handle the building.
Yeah, Emma had an inquiry into it, but then I haven't ever heard anything more back.
So what happens, just so you know, if somebody reaches out to me and asks about it, I'm very clear, I'm not a decision maker, and I pass their information on. I would have passed their information on to Commissioner Abendroth, but he wasn't seated yet, so I passed it on to Commissioner Peterson because he's the next closest to where that site is. And that individual wanted to know if it's for sale, what it's for sale for, a number of different things. And I said, I'll pass you on to somebody, and then from there, it can move forward. The roof should be in the process of being replaced. I think weather and time are assets or allies, whichever way. Today would be a good day, but apparently tomorrow and 8 days from now may not. But it's got to be done, and that's something that we'll have to go into the discussion related to the price. Will the county recoup all of its investment? I don't believe so.
Probably not.
Probably not, but without a roof, that building is going to go downhill pretty quickly.
Sure. So, when the time comes, similar to the Bailey property, similar to the other conversations that tied to that discussion, that county resolution will put you in the place to decide whether you want to auction, realtor, a number of those different things. I don't know what the best option is, but that's one where the county doesn't need to own and be responsible for a piece of property like that. There may be, you might have Ms. Tapman come up and talk about the economic development side of it. I do believe she's had someone talk to her about that property, and there are some small business grants that are out there that she sent me an email about, but again, that'd be something you'd have to decide moving forward, whether you want there to be someone in there and it be a lease type situation, or whether you just want to sell it outright and get it back on the tax rolls.
Well, I think that'd be the end goal for me, or the sooner the better, that we get it to a private owner, but
We're a public county commission, we shouldn't be in the real estate business.
that's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we wanna try to do whatever we own it now, so we just will try to do something, get a business in there and generate something extra with it. That's my thought. That'd be our number one goal, is to get it sold, but I'd like to incorporate that with somebody that's gonna bring some extra back to the county, to the community.
Get back on the tax rolls.
That's number one job.
Some sales tax off of it, create some jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I have. I don't have anything yet, I'm still on the learning curve. Sit tight.
I think we've all probably took the opportunity, but welcome to the board.
Thank you much.
Look forward to working with you, sir.
I got high hopes that we can get something done in the county and
Yes.
make it a better place for everybody.
Very good.
Yes, sir. I don't really have anything. I went to the Southeast Kansas District 4 meeting at Chanute the other day. Jay Hall was on the agenda. Bruce I don't know how you pronounce his name, Chatladny, Chalabny. He's the executive director for KAC. They had some interesting Jay brought up it had to do with budgets and so forth, and if I understand it right, the state has 18 core mandates, core services mandated for each county. And so when they do that, there's no funding for that for those mandates, for those services. And I think there were 35 counties that have responded to they were requesting 23, 24, 25 the cost of the mandated services for that. And that there, for those counties that reported, 56% of their budget went to those 18 mandated services, and which I thought was interesting. And then another thing that was brought up was how many tax exempt properties are in each county. And I have no idea, but that was a question that they posed. And it all had to go back to the state legislature and the budget hearings and that sort of thing. But Jay and Bruce both had very good presentations. And then, of course, the road and bridge side of it for each county was presented. We got out there about 12:30, I guess, that day. So it was a good meeting.
Did I read somewhere where, Bruce, whenever he has an audience, I know he brings up that 18 unfunded mandates,
Yes.
but I believe the state legislature coming up soon here, the post audit committee, I believe, is going to be looking at if those unfunded mandates are actually being funded, or if there's enough money available.
Right, and that was another thing that he brought up, was that it's going to be before the Senate, that it's going to be addressed somewhat, possibly to maybe fund some of those core services. And the core services are law, district court, I can't think, it's public
appraiser,
the health department,
motor vehicles.
So they're all services that are needed. I'm not saying that at all, but right now they're unfunded. They're mandated but unfunded. And you're right, Mark. That was brought out that it's being taken a look at, and possibly down the road some funding could come to the counties.
They're called unfunded mandates, but there may not be enough funds to cover the entire cost of it.
Right.
But there is, on some of them, I think they are covered.
Yeah. But anyway, it was pretty interesting. It wasn't a sleeper session, so that's all I have.
Wish I would've.
I thought you were gonna read that.
Yeah, I had lots of coming up.
Adam was on the bridge side.
Good.
So that was a good meeting down there. Got to meet some other commissioners and so forth.
Good.
That's all I've got.
Well, I had several things jotted down on my list, but they've pretty well all been covered today. So I guess I'm going this evening to Manhattan to go to the KNRC meeting there this evening and see what they've got up their sleeve, what they're battling for. So I'll maybe have something to report on that next week. But that's all I've got. Everything else we've already touched on. So, Angie?
So one thing, insurance renewal meetings will be coming up May 13th and 14th for health insurance and the supplemental insurance offers. So we'll send out a flyer or something. But I just want to put that on your calendar. So
That's
May 13th and 14th.
With the commission here, you mean?
Well, it'll be employee meeting,
Oh, okay.
but you guys are be included in that. So if there's anything you want to add or change, that would be the time to think about that. And then.
We would be eligible to do that, even though we just came on.
Yep, because that's our,
What's your rollover dates?
our actual, beginning date for insurance is July 1st.
Okay.
So this is our time where we're renewing, and so yeah, if there's any changes, you would put that in and it would take effect July 1st, so.
Are there going to be reps from?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are sticking with Edison, the company we're with. They have taken on our account since our other went bankrupt, and they worked very hard to get everything, and it's finally settling down. So it just takes a while when you've got can you imagine the claims on 155 people? But anyway, in the past few weeks, a lot of things have really come through, so I think it's getting resolved now.
Good. Well, I know that's been a battle for your office and for the employees struggling with it. It's just, in my eyes, it's a very unfortunate occurrence that it's had to be battled through.
So, and then again, next week, after you're done with your meeting, we'll do checks and vouchers for employees, so. I think that's all I have today.
Okay.
How's advance voting going for the Burlington?
Good. I'm not sure what we've had today. Let me go check total up to through.
Well, in my circles,
I get you something there.
So we've had 87 votes starting last.
87 since Wednesday?
I don't know where the time goes.
Oh, my gosh. Seemed like we just...
No, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Checks again next week, you know, wow. Fly.
How do we
sit back in the
Oh, yeah. Talk,
Oh, this is road and bridges. They didn't get that sheet.
right.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Magic marker?
Yeah. For now. We'll get that fixed next week.
It'll all happen.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Heidi? I'm guessing Heidi.
Quick, I direct some calls. This doesn't look like it should be there. Hey, Mike, this is...
Have a good day.
Yeah.
See you.
Because of barrel of...
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
All of this that I've got is going to go in this over here. So if you want to...
So everything that's coming at us goes in here?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
What I've got is going to go in there.
All goes in there.
Yeah. Just initial, anyone?
Anyone.
Just
Any one of those lines, it doesn't matter where.
That's my line. Any line.
be a little quicker.
Any line.
Our initials are similar.
Yeah. On Bright Speed, what was it? Bright Speed, claim?
Is that internet?
No, well, it had something to do with the road department.
25 pair buried cable. There was damage.
So that was just.
You've got out in the West Valley area.
Oh, jeez.
On our side.
Oh,
That's a good thing you don't need it anymore. beautiful day out there. Supposed to be pretty nice out. Good day to play in the mud.
Yeah.
Any day without a lot of wind. Sunshine, few and far between.
Well, that mud's welcome though, man, we were getting dry. And I hope we get some more next round.
We need some real.
Yeah, we were, yeah. I think over east of us, they got a lot more. Like all over.
Did you get around here?
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I got 1.8.
Out of the whole thing?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of what I had heard, over half an inch and a half.
That's kind of what does.
Yeah.
Wasn't Friday, it rained just enough just to mess up the dust on the vehicle.
Yeah, it didn't wash it off, it just splattered.
I don't know, Mike, that's what I was.
Driving down the road, and the windshield was clean, and the water going up the hood.
You wanna get Ryan?
Yeah.
Very nasty.
If you wouldn't mind.
It doesn't really give any specifications about how it got damaged.
Oh, this is right here. There's the letter. There's a third party claims.
Okay, Ryan, if I put you on speakerphone, can you talk about the Brightspeed invoice they're paying today with damage to buried cable? Okay, here it is. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, I mean, that's, phone line that got hit on one of our projects.
Okay, that's what it was, is a phone line then, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sir. That's,
I don't remember any other details on that, it's just, yeah, something that got hit on one of our projects.
okay, very good.
Alright.
Yep, that's all I needed, thanks.
Yep, bye.
Bye. Okay. Stuff happens.
So I wonder if it was called in to dig safe and marked before they.
I imagine, I think they call everything in that I'm aware of. But,
Mike, I don't.
yeah.
I think they're required to be within 2 foot of their markings for dig safe. So was it hit within that 2 foot marking, or?
So what happens if it is? Is it dig safe?
Yes, correct. Usually if it's outside of that mark within 2 feet either way, and it's not there within that, it's dig safe's responsibility.
Oh, really?
I hit a 4-inch water line one time, they came out and marked it. I questioned it when they marked it, and he said, nope, that's where it is, that's where it's at, so, sounds good. So I had, obviously, the number, the permit number from Dig Safe, anyway, it was 15 feet from their mark and hit that 4-inch water line. They came back and tried to pin the bill on me for it, I said, no, it's not within your notification area of 2 foot. I said, you guys missed it completely.
Wow. That's a long way to miss.
15 feet?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that'd be like in the city and
It was in the city.
downtown? Yeah, but I mean, in a big city, in downtown areas with all the old water lines and underground units, everything.
Well, I can tell you, a 4-inch water line puts out a
A lot of water. It does spit out a little.
especially when it's 2 blocks from the tower.
I bet it does.
So while you're, sorry.
Good.
I sent a message to Dr. Wyatt to get an update. That's who called. The basic message is he is still pushing and pursuing the initiative that he had been live in front of you back in December. He is in constant communication with Representative Schmidt's office, who's helping aid and assist Dr. Wyatt in that pursuit. And both Dr. Wyatt and my understanding is Representative Schmidt still believe that this CHIPS project is potentially one of the biggest economic development projects in the history of the state, and that's why they remain committed and are still pursuing it. So, and there'll be more updates in the future, but for right now, since the inquiry was made, I felt that I needed to come in and at least say what I said.
$1,000 to install running boards and all these boards.
What was that at?
Well, I will tell you with my short rate. Well, we're gonna take you out of the equation.
I have running boards on my pickup, and if I didn't have it, I'd be jumping. So they charge $54 to install them, and the parts are $800.
Yeah, but I mean, is there a need for having, do we have running boards on all of them?
On what?
Our county trucks.
This would have been a
I think so.
25 Silverado white.
I assume so. They need to be, don't they?
I'm asking.
Yeah, I would assume they would. Oh, okay, that ends up, that,
To me, it'd be borderline safety almost, depending on the situation.
everything in this, it goes in this one.
Okay. So
Looks like Todd and I have to share one.
Oh, yes.
Do I need to mark?
No.
Oh.
Yes, you do.
Thanks, Angie.
That probably doesn't allow us to have an extra line.
Yeah, Mike, you have to share. I'm sorry.
Todd, we're gonna share.
Yeah, that's everything. This is what I was.
I don't know, is that on the payroll one or the?
Yeah.
Yeah, our other system allows for each individual line and then one separate.
This is payables.
Huh? Oh, it's payable, okay.
Payables. Well, with just using that term, and it's kind of red flags, I don't know.
I doubt it'll.
First time I've
Pull that check and I'll call this, but make sure that will that satisfy their, sure that satisfies what they're wanting.
Come down the pipe later on or something.
Yep, no.
There's what you were, there's stated come from, transport from another state.
From another state, that's why it's.
Not the transport portables.
No, I just said maybe somebody from one of the areas.
I guess we need to talk about if, Mike's gonna take over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, where's that?
What is it about?
I could waive extradition, or decline extradition, but then all you have to do is leave the state, and you don't have to be held accountable, so.
Oh, makes sense.
We'll come and get you wherever you are, California, Vermont, Texas.
End of the law.
In fact, one individual we indirectly had him brought back from the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Really? Okay, so you can do the El Salvador.
They had some inappropriate communications with a miner here in Cotton County. Worked with the Marine Corps and NCIS to bring him back from some sort of naval ship.
Do you want a copy of this quote that Ford from? Because right now, well, I put my thing there, but I don't know.
Right.
Just warming you up for next week.
Yeah. Yeah, next week will be a marathon.
Yeah, that one's not as big as the one that's previous. There's the crappie. You guys happy for
On this one, like it. Where is it?
Oh. Okay. You taking stuff off, adding stuff, we've done so much.
I'll post it for the entire county. I guess there's a way you can set it up to differentiate the department. But that's never been done in the past, so.
We run postage through a meter like that, usually get a discount rather than full price of the state.
Yeah. And then you should see a second one, there's the lease for that equipment.
Catch you the $5,000 on a couple items.
Air conditioner.
No, yeah. They had it done and then paint.
Interest.
Right, so I was just letting you know what that was.
Okay.
I thought you were saying something.
No,
And then
no,
another one was River City there for that portion. River City.
Right, that was part of the,
Payment for that.
that was the jail construction project.
We originally ordered one, they were recycled, but I had them returned. She accept them, and if it's not so, or if you put it in, it rejects them, and then you just take it out.
That's what we did. Right.
So I just haven't sent back, I guess, the manufacturer wants the high capacity, he's working well, I ordered 2 at a time, so.
As much as you do with them, you might as well specify.
Yeah.
Ship them and some of them.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
Can we hold this check just so I can call and make sure this,
Yeah.
there's a
So this one for the hospital, was it something that's been done already or something?
Yeah, it was done last year.
200 wing?
Yes, it was done,
In 24, wasn't it? Am I correct?
yeah.
Nice.
That one that had lead time on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they ordered it.
Yeah, that was on that 200 wing. They did it on.
I see.
That, with all the rooms in it.
Okay.
I remember having this conversation with him when I was on the hospital board that
How's voting going, Angie?
Good, we've had 87 votes since last Wednesday.
That's 2 votes that you've had, and that's walk-in.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 pages in there.
And we posted it on Facebook page and, I don't know, did you guys get the paper yet, Mark, or is it going on this week? Okay. But yeah,
This is the bond issue, right?
I mean, it was mentioned when there was the voter, registered voter deadline.
right.
Angie, do we have to sign this?
Just the front page. Yeah.
You have any idea how many registered voters there are in 244?
I do. I don't have
Well, I
it
didn't
on top of my head.
make you go look.
No, that's okay. So, this is one you have to do.
Oh.
Well, I had those. Oh, I was literally the same something.
I would have to make my motion.
Here.
Yeah. And Steve's the alternate right now.
What's that?
I'm the ECAN representative.
Oh, right. Got to Tom's. But if Mike would like that, that would be fine. Which one?
It's just,
We want to, right, like standing here, so it's not vacant.
well, yeah.
It looks like
So,
it's called
They
that.
all want to
And then.
you were the alternate, Steve.
just cross the road, put his name.
You're the alternate.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
The Tom had it originally.
Right.
And then he got,
Yeah, I was wondering about that when she sent it around.
and then
Looks like
he asked me if I
somebody
would
would signed it.
fill in, I did fill in for him. Because he hadn't, I think it was a Tammy's starting to get sick, hurt her back. And their meetings are at Ottawa. So, Mike, that, it'd be great if I'll continue doing it. But actually, that's that position's.
Yeah, that's what it's been.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted you guys to look at was, to see if you just wanna transfer those over to Mike, or if there's any other changes you wanted to do, or.
Is that acceptable with you, Mike?
I don't know, how about you give me
Think about it for a
a
week,
week
okay.
to look over this and see what I can do.
He can't have his meetings in the evening.
Okay.
Generally start at 6 and then a couple hours after that.
And it's in Ottawa?
It's in Ottawa.
Okay. And that's the ECAN board? Okay. And you'd still be the alternate on it?
I would still be the alternate. If that, is that the way?
Yeah, however you guys wanna do it.
Yeah, I would still be the alternate on that.
On this, should Tim be on this list?
Do it?
Should Tim Johnson be on this list?
Well, he doesn't need to be, but I did put him on there because the board at the time, which you can change it if you wanted to too, put him on as the 4th Judicial District Nominating Commission.
I just thought, I don't know if he was this, when he was a commissioner and he was overseeing or what, but
This-
if the board put it on there, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I didn't know if you want, because like sometimes you guys might say, well, who is our 4th Judicial District nominating? And I'm like, oh, I don't remember. So I was just trying to think of.
Just posted it on there, basically.
Yeah.
I can tell you part of the reason why he's on there, he's been part of the interview and appointment of 3 different judges. And to me, there's value in somebody having been a part of that process and gone through it. So when he was a commissioner, he was a part of it. And then even after the last judge that was appointed in Franklin, out of Franklin County, Judge Braun, he was a part of that interview, and he wasn't a member of the commission. So it's a choice by you. You don't have to be a commissioner to be a part of the nominating commission. But that commission is made up of half attorneys, half non-attorneys. So there are public representatives, for example, in Osage County. There's I can't remember where they're at. If there's not a commissioner that's a part of it, but in Franklin County there is a commissioner. So it's your own choice.
I just thought maybe it was, when he was a commissioner.
Yeah.
One thing you brought up earlier, that you were hoping to meet with
We'll need to do that.
Essence and Chips Factory.
That's what-
And everything else, and they want you to be part of that as an attorney. What if we wanted you to be part of it as an attorney representing the county?
Well, that was the initial interview with the Fed side of it, and that was their.
The Fed said they didn't want you, isn't it?
Yes. They don't.
And they're all attorneys themselves, and.
Yeah, they gotta manage us, though.
We need manage that.
Sometimes we do.
That's
Fine by them.
The other one that's not a commissioner is Amelia, if you remember, that was, Don was part of that Community Corrections Advisory Board. And he came out of a meeting that we had because I'm the prosecutor representative on that board. I'm currently serve as the chairman. He said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Is there somebody that you think would be better served to be on that committee? And I said, well, let me think about it. And I talked to the director, and that is sort of
You
a
can,
hodgepodge of a bunch of different representatives. We have education, so the superintendent of the Franklin County Schools, he's on that as the education representative. We have attorney, prosecutor, judge, at-large members from the community from Anderson County. We have law enforcement, and we didn't have someone who represented the health industry. So I suggested Amelia, and it was overwhelmingly decided by the group to bring her on. So that's where that came from, in case you're curious.
Here that are not elastic anymore. They like dried up.
Petrified.
Still got room in my drawer, so
Yeah, you're not jammed up where you can't get in there yet.
There was one time that it started falling out the back, I knew it was time to clean out my drawers.
Steve, got a mess.
That's all the exempt properties in the county.
Oh. Is that an extra employee health care flyer around? I never
Yep.
got one. Thank you. Our next meeting, do we need to be appointing some of these people we've been interviewing for some of these boards? This would be filled by April 30th, 25.
What do we need to do? Do we need to wait till the deadline and then do it? I mean,
Well, some of these boards we have not interviewed, some of the people either.
yeah.
Like planning board, we got 3 positions there, so. And they've got quite a bit of work coming up in front of them. Have we got any applications for planning board?
We have Damon Burke, which we need to call him by phone. I need to set up a time with him. Wait, I did set up a time with him.
He's on there right now, right?
Yes, he's on the board now.
And then one withdrew,
Right.
our friend withdrew his application.
That's it.
That leaves 2 more positions to be filled.
And you resigned.
Yeah, traded jobs.
Yeah.
And he was up for reappointment anyway, right? No, I have not
He's
seen
not
it
brought
yet.
it in.
You talked about that the other night? Yeah. Maybe he'll do it. There's gonna be a permission down there. Oh, that's right, you have one more person to talk to, probably.
So the 2 on the airport board, Brett had, they were both,
Yeah.
Brett, and then you also have
Wayne Hess.
Wayne Hess, which he,
oh, is that what they wanted?
Yep. I had 3 down for airport.
yep.
Yeah, because Dennis,
And I have 2 interested in library board.
Right.
I've interviewed 1.
Yeah, this one just came in last week.
Is that library board?
Yeah.
Is that Roger?
Yeah.
But on the airport board, we had three.
Pat Reese and Brett Skillman, right?
And
Yeah,
we had
Pat
those
Reese.
two,
Brett Scummon, Wayne Hess needs to come in.
and we've got three positions, correct?
Yes. And we have,
We got two positions on airport.
yeah, 2 on airport board, 3 on planning.
Yeah, 3 on planning, 2 on airport, and 1 on library.
We've got 3 on airport.
Dennis
Well,
Hatch.
Dennis Hatch,
We appointed Mark,
Oh,
That's right.
That's right.
to fill that unexpired term.
You're right.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So we're not renewing that at this, he just fell on the unexpired term, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. So we've got 3 applicants for those 2 positions.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, you're right, I forgot about that.
Okay. So at this time, when we just got, of the applications we've just got Damon Burke that we haven't heard from. Is that?
Yeah, we need to do him by phone.
Right.
Well, and we haven't heard from Roger Cole on the library.
Yes. Yeah, we have brought him in. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll call him to get that set up.
I'm forgetting the library.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant you haven't gotten an application.
Okay.
Like in Wayne Hess, the only one we have to hear from on airport. And we need more applicants for planning board.
Right.
There's 3 seats to fill, and we got 1 application.
Right.
Yeah, I heard there should be a second one coming.
Pardon me? Another one?
Have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, that's how we do. We'll start interviews.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
It'll be interesting to see how that turns out next month with their officers.
Oh.
Because I know he told me to get the chairman of the board again. Friendship. I think
We wore out our welcome.
Do I?
We wore out our welcome.
Okay. If nobody has further business, I guess we'll adjourn at 12:16. Have a good week, guys.